Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. All Mage. Only I Know How to Kill Dragons. Chapter 81. Next day. There are still 3 hours before the competition in the arena, and the Imperial Arena is full of seats and buzzing with excitement. Today's first match is between Su Xin and the dark horse Long Meng from Demon God Sect. This dark horse, Long Meng, defeated the previous 8 favorites in a row, and it can be said that he is in full swing at the moment. And his opponent, Su Xin, has never dropped out of the top 3 on the online popularity list since he participated in the elite competition. This battle is naturally attracting everyone's attention. So much attention was paid to the arrival of Nangong Dragon, the Duke of Tianan Province, but he came quietly and did not attract the attention of others, pretending to be a spectator and sitting in the back seat. The long-awaited began to come out. On the field of Nuo Da's arena, Su Xin appeared on the stage with a lazy expression. It's been almost a week since he last played. This week, Su Xin didn't absorb any mana resources, but his strength and mana values increased by nearly 20,000 each. At the same time, after a week of practice, Su Xin is quite proficient in the method of pressing the bottom of the box for magic fusion. There will be no obvious pauses when performing it, but it is still a little short of perfect performance. I'm coming. Su Xin had just appeared on the stage, and Long Meng followed closely behind under the cheers of the crowd. He looked at Su Xin. The fighting spirit in his eyes was very pure and hot. Seeing this person, Su Xin couldn't help showing a little surprised expression. This Long Meng is really tall, his upper body is deliberately bare, and his muscles are prickly. If he looks any uglier, Su Xin would even think that he is the tyrant from the Resident Evil next door who came to play. Be careful, his shattering magic will only exert its greatest power when it touches the body. At this time, someone's magic sound transmission suddenly sounded in Su Xin's ear. When he saw it, it turned out that Mu Wang, who was acting as the referee, was secretly reminding him. Su Xin gave King Mu a friendly smile. The time has come, the first match of the 3rd round of the arena, Su Xin vs. Long Meng, now officially begins. Seeing the boiling hundreds of thousands of spectators, King Mu didn't waste time, and immediately announced the start of the competition. He himself was also looking forward to it. In a real sense, Su Xin faced the last powerful champion who won the championship. What will be the result? As the magic circle around the venue opened, the noisy audience stopped abruptly. Su Xin! Long Meng suddenly roared. The loudness of his voice really startled Su Xin. Why are you so hot-blooded? Su Xin asked strangely, but just as he finished speaking, he saw the tall Long Meng suddenly and slowly disappear in front of him. It's an afterimage. Long Meng appeared in front of Su Xin without warning, and his fist, which was about the size of Su Xin's head, directly hit Su Xin's abdomen. Boom! In an instant, a terrifying shock wave came from Su Xin's body and raged towards the surroundings, causing the entire venue to tremble endlessly at this moment. Look at Su Xin again. His eyes tightened, and there was a rare look of shock in his eyes, and he took a few steps back from the punch. Su Xin was shocked. Long Meng didn't cast any magic, just simple speed plus a punch full of power, but this punch, in Su Xin's view, had a power of about 200,000. Su Xin's defense of more than 1 million is naturally unharmed here, but he was caught off guard and was beaten back and forth. Why are you in a daze? Su Xin, you are the same as me, we are the same kind, and you are also a melee mage. Su Xin was even more surprised by Long Meng's unrestrained roar, melee mage. In this day and age, besides Su Xin, is there really anyone else? Could it be a special magic similar to dragon-slaying magic? Drink. Long Meng's posture was full of anger, his face was ferocious, and he directly bullied Su Xin. His fists were like a god's help, and they came down like a gust of wind and rain. The eyes of all the audience flickered. Hiss! Isn't this Long Meng crushing magic? Why did you fight melee? This has already exceeded the definition of melee combat. This Long Meng's body is so strong, and every punch is shocking. With this kind of strength, one punch may not be able to easily break through the magic defense of a 7th-level mage. He didn't use this fighting style when he was fighting other people before. Don't you understand? Su Xin's physical strength has long been spread. This Long Meng refuses to accept it, so naturally he wants to defeat Su Xin in the most direct way in front of everyone. Hundreds of thousands of spectators cheered endlessly. This way of fighting is really eye-popping, precisely stimulating the adrenal hormones of all the audience, making them jump like chicken blood. Sure enough, it's Eucharist magic. Nangong Long, the Duke of Tianan in the back row, looked at Long Meng with a somewhat clear expression. Ah, what are you talking about, old man? What is Eucharist magic? After a young man next to him heard it, he couldn't help asking questions in doubt. Mages have existed for a long, long time. It is true that the weak body has not been resolved, but it does not mean that no one has studied how to strengthen the physical body. Among them is the birth of the holy body magic. It is just that this magic was determined later. It is a failure of magic, because the person who masters it cannot break through to the ninth order transcendent archmage. Some even exploded to death in battle because their bodies could not bear the backlash of this magic. But this Dragon Meng is different. If the old man is not mistaken, he should be a descendant of high-level monsters and humans, and he has the blood of monsters in his body, so he can withstand the magic of the holy body. What Nangong Long said made the young man open his mouth with a shocked expression. Actually, many people are aware of the existence of Eucharist magic, and many people think that Su Xin has mastered this kind of magic. But on closer inspection, Su Xin is not at all. Because there are too many fatal flaws in Eucharist magic, once you cast this magic, you can only fight physically, and you can't cast other magic. But Su Xin can cast magic while keeping his physical body strong. This is obviously a new magic that is similar to Eucharist magic, but 500 times stronger than Eucharist magic. Look at the field again. Su Xin looked at the shadow of the fists all over the sky, and just blocked it with his arms slightly. He didn't counterattack immediately. The reason is very simple. There are not many opportunities for this kind of passive madness to increase the defense value. What the hell are you doing? Are you so unresponsive? Your powerful body, which can withstand my punch head-on, just passively defend and do nothing. Do you know what a melee mage is, Su Xin? However, Su Xin's passive and clumsy defense made Long Meng furious. In Long Meng's envisioned picture, he was going to fight Su Xin head-to-head, and then fight for 300 rounds, and finally defeated him forcefully. But now, disappointed, 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 disappointed. So much so that Long Meng thought that the enthusiasm for encountering the same kind gradually faded away. Enough. The dragon stepped back recklessly. Holy Eucharist magic. Ascension to heaven. Boom. Suddenly, the magical power of the heavens and the earth surged violently, and the magic power visible to the naked eye turned into a maelstrom of magic power hovering above Long Meng's head. Immediately afterwards, this vortex of magic power suddenly gathered in Long Meng's body. Holy body magic is indeed different from dragon-slaying magic. It can invoke the heaven and earth calendar. However, the method is completely different from other magic, directly applying the magic power to one's own body, so as to achieve a short-term increase in the values of all aspects of the body. Bang! A deafening trembling sound came from Long Meng's body. The original height of 2.5 meters was terrifying enough, but at this moment, his body size skyrocketed again, reaching a height of more than 5 meters. The previous Long Meng looked masculine and handsome, but now he looks like a humanoid muscular monster. His muscles like rocks piled up all over his body, full of explosive power. Lei Yanlong's roar. Su Xin's expression changed slightly. The opponent's transformation skill was too ugly, and it was completely incomparable with his own limbs. When he thought of this, he opened his mouth and sprayed, and a cluster of lightning beams poured out, rushing straight Long Mu ahead. I don't want this kind of fighting style. Long Meng was furious and roared continuously. He couldn't figure out why Su Xin didn't compete head-on with him. The angry Long Meng leaned forward slightly, and then bumped head-on into Su Xin's Lei Yanlong roaring. Although the holy body magic is not as good as the dragon-slaying magic, it is similar in some aspects. For example, at the moment Long Meng, all the magic power in his body has reached a near limit fit with his physical body, which greatly increased the defense of his physical body itself. Of course, he can't cast other magics when he casts Eucharist magic, even if he wants to cast defensive magic. Boom! Under everyone's horrified gazes, Long Meng bumped headfirst into the beam of light from Lei Yan. He raised his arms vigorously, grabbed the beam of light with a pair of fleshy hands, and immediately stretched out his arms, tearing the beam of light into two halves under the exclamation of hundreds of thousands of spectators. What kind of monster is this him? Can mages do this kind of fighting? If the magic mastered by Long Mang is made public, wouldn't it cause unprecedented changes among mages? If the mage can make up for the weakness of the body, wouldn't it be? Hundreds of thousands of spectators were dumbfounded, and their own views of mage battles were completely overturned by Dragon Burial's fighting style. It is true that some mages are extremely good at defense, and those who are against the sky can still achieve the level that mages of the same level cannot break through the defense. But after all, it is only because of the defense against magic. The body is still weak. If the magic power is exhausted, it is only a little bit stronger than ordinary people's physique. But if a mage possesses a powerful magic attack and a physique as strong as Long Mang, that would be really unimaginable. Look at the center field again. After Long Mang broke through Su Shen's thunder flame dragon roaring with overwhelming momentum, his heavy body was like a mountain and charged towards Su Shen. It has been greatly improved, reaching an exaggerated level several times that of fainting speed. Long Mang's forward charge caused a series of shock waves on the way. Drink, backquote. He bullied Su Shen again, and punched Su Shen straight in the head. Bang, boom. Those fists that were as big as Su Shen's head hit Su Shen's head immediately, and the momentum caused was really like a landslide. What? When everyone was worried about Su Shen, they saw Long Mang's eyes widened, looking down at Su Shen with disbelief. His right wrist, as thick as a stone pillar, was being firmly grasped by Su Shen's right hand. The fist was only millimeters away from the center of Su Shen's eyebrows, but it was difficult to penetrate an inch. Su Shen was a little surprised. After this person's so-called holy body magic attracted the magic power of heaven and earth into his body, Li Huang's power has more than doubled. A threefold increase is naturally commonplace for Su Shen, but he has a lot of cards in his hand, so naturally it cannot be compared. For others, it is already exaggerated to have a threefold increase in combat power. Long Mang's punch. There are 600,000 strength values. This is. Long Mang's eyes tightened, and he saw Su Shen's right arm grasping his wrist, covered with bright dragon scales, and his palm turned into dragon claws, clamping his wrist tightly. I'm going to be crushed. Why does he have such a strong power? He has such a strong power at the 7th level. It's not reasonable at all. Long Mang's copper bell eyes almost popped out of their sockets, and the pressure from his right arm and wrist made him feel more and more powerless. He seems to really realize that he is not on the same level as Su Shen at all. Su Shen's one-armed dragon transformation also increases his strength by more than 3 times, but his base strength value is more than 300,000, and this triple increase is nearly 1,000,000 strength values. Good. It didn't disappoint me. Ah ha ha. Long Mang suddenly laughed wildly, and his whole body changed again. But this time, it turned into a beast. He already has a powerful high-level monster blood in his body, and it is precisely because of this that he can master the magic of the Eucharist. At this moment, the blood of the monster in his body was activated, making Long Mang instantly transform into a half-beast monster with a bull's head and human body, and his body size increased from 5 meters to 7 meters again. Strength also climbed from 600,000 to 800,000. Give labor and management a hand. Long Mang raised his left fist, and thundered towards Su Shen who was below. There was a soft bang. Su Shen's left arm turned into a dragon again, and his power multiplier was increased to 4 times. His left palm rested on Long Mang's fist, blocking all the surging power on it. Long Mang immediately stayed where he was. Feelings of frustration and powerlessness never before hit my heart. At this moment, he almost lost his fighting spirit. Didn't eat. Su Shen raised her eyebrows. Then give me a punch. Su Shen let go of Long Mang's right wrist, and threw a straight punch in a bland manner. This punch hit Long Mang's abdomen, sending his whole body flying, and immediately smashed heavily on the ground. And the moment Long Mang hit the ground floor of the entire venue was instantly lifted, and immediately exploded with bang 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 bang. The pit was getting bigger and bigger, and the magic circle around the entire venue was roaring. Hundreds of thousands of spectators felt the earth shaking. Even though there was a magic defense array around the venue, the power of Su Shen's punch spread along the ground, so that hundreds of thousands of spectators appeared collectively at this moment-shaking phenomenon. Mu Wang, acting as the referee, took a deep look at Su Shen. Just now, Su Shen's punch looked quite ordinary, but then he realized that it was Li Hao's perfect control of power, so that he couldn't react at all and wanted to help Long Mang. Look at Long Mang again. He was sunk in a deep, invisible pit, lying in a large font, and had returned to normal size. His eyes were white, and his sturdy body looked like a puddle of mud at this moment. Shu Shi was punched by Su Shen and broke all the bones in his body. But Long Mang is still alive. Su Shen was not surprised either. After all, the opponent was also a melee mage, and he only wanted to fight against him, so he didn't deliberately kill him. How is it possible? Long Mang actually lost. What kind of magic does this Su Shen master? Why is his body far stronger than Long Mang? We don't know how many precious resources we spent cultivating Long Mang, and now we are punched like this. That's enough. Why are you arguing here when your skills are inferior to people? In a viewing box, a group of elders of the demon god sect could not accept Long Mang's defeat. Su Shen, Su Shen, Su Shen, you are my #1 pride in Kyushu. You deserve it. The magic circle around the venue was temporarily closed, and the roar of cheers bombarded the ears. Su Shen stood in the center of the venue, looking around. Among the hundreds of thousands of spectators, most of them stood up on the spot, waved their hands and shouted at Su Shen. The scene was so spectacular that those who didn't know it thought Su Shen had already won the championship. But gradually, the audience also found that Su Shen's performance today was not quite right. Because in the past, Su Shen would leave the arena directly after the competition, but today he stopped to watch on the arena, as if he was enjoying the cheers of the audience. In this way, the voices of the audience grew louder. At this moment, Su Shen suddenly stretched out his hand, signaling to the hundreds of thousands of spectators to stop shouting. An astonishing scene appeared. The venue, which was still noisy just now, suddenly became extremely quiet, with only some small conversations. Su Shen seems to want to say something. Is it an advance speech for winning the championship? Who dares to doubt Su Shen's combat power now? He even doubts that he is already a 7th rank upper rank, my god, an 18-year-old 7th rank upper rank mage. Quote, see the field quiet down. Su Shen smiled and said, everyone, it seems that 860 has always been very concerned about the magic that I, Su Shen, have mastered. Mu Wang, who was at the side, was startled when he heard this, and quickly asked through magic voice transmission, Su Shen, what are you going to do? You don't have to. With your current achievements, the Emperor will definitely confer you a title. You have a secret, and Honda can guarantee that no one will dare to spy on you. Mu Wang subconsciously thinks that Su Shen wants to protect himself wisely, so he is going to tell his secret. Su Shen replied with Mu Wang's magic voice, and simply thanked her. Then went on to say, my magic, it's called Dragon Slayer magic. Wow, as soon as this remark came out, the audience boiled again. Dragon Slayer magic, I've never even heard of this name. Dragon Slayer, generally, what can be called a dragon, whichever is not the lowest level, is at the holy level. The magic that Su Shen masters is actually named after the word, Dragon Slayer. Okay, that's amazing, but why did Su Shen make it public? The word Milong is really arrogant and domineering. When everyone heard the words, Dragon Slayer magic, their expressions were shocked, and their eyes were fixed on Su Shen, for fear of missing every word he said next. Su Shen, where did you get the dragon slaying magic? Before Su Shen could speak again, a bold BBFC audience asked loudly. Su Shen did not answer directly. How do you answer? I, Su Shen, came here for nothing. Su Shen went on to say, although I got the dragon slaying magic by accident, the person who created the dragon slaying magic also hopes that his magic can be carried forward, so today, I, Su Shen, will disclose the details of the dragon slayer magic. Magic formula. After all, seeing Su Shen pressing the ground with his right hand, the devastated ground that had been destroyed by the previous battle became flat in an instant. Immediately afterwards, on the flat ground, a string of magic formulas began to emerge, the magic formula of the Fire Dragon Slayer magic. Yes, complete. However, Su Shen will only reveal the Fire Dragon Slaying magic. Dragon Slaying magic is special magic, and the magic formula of each dragon slaying magic is completely different. And, Su Shen is not really impartial, because he knows it. Even if it is made public, no one will be able to learn it. Ha ha ha. And the main purpose of Su Shin's disclosure is not to let others give up peeking at his secrets. People's hearts will not be satisfied. Even if Su Shin discloses all his secrets, some people will still think that Su Shin has something else to hide. This time, we decided to disclose the existence of Dragon Slayer magic. There are two reasons. One is simply to make a name for Dragon Slayer magic. The second is to prepare for her sister Yang-su to hang up. Su Shin has always had the idea of creating a dragon-slaying magic crystal, but she has no experience after all, so she can't treat her sister as an experimental subject. Now that the fire dragon-slaying magic is released, if anyone has an understanding of this magic, they can come to Su Shin for advice, and then take out the Dragon Slayer magic crystal and put it on Duixing to test. Once successful, then Su Shin will be able to create a large number of acquired Dragon Slayers in batches. Su Shin doesn't just take one step at a time. He also has a forward-looking vision. If he can create his own power and create a power full of Dragon Slayer mages, how can he fear other big powers prying eyes on him? Certainly, Su Shin disclosed the existence of Dragon Slayer magic because Su Shin's power is inseparable from Dragon Slayer magic, but the most important thing is the talent provided by the Dragon Slayer mage's adaptive force. If anyone can understand the magic of dragon slaying, you can come and exchange ideas with me, Su Shin. After Su Shin said the last sentence, she was about to leave. And at this time, suddenly a figure appeared high above the venue, and everyone saw that it was a rickety old man with gray hair. Wait a minute, the old man called Su Shin to stop, and then reported his family background. My old man, Zhang Hua, the director of the First Institute of Magic in the Empire, has some questions that I would like to ask friend Su Shin for advice. Senior Zhang, please. Su Shin made a gesture of please. The magic formula you gave me can preliminarily judge that there is no mistake, but the key point is that if you want to master this magic formula, the affinity of the fire element must be at least 98, full affinity is 100, so, Dragon Slayer magic cannot be popularized to the public at all. Zhang Hua's words made hundreds of thousands of viewers feel depressed. Fire affinity should be over 98. As far as is known, Hong Yang, the child of the Sun Temple of the Temple of Elements, has reached this standard, and it is still the lowest standard. Senior Zhang is right, and this junior has never said that everyone can learn dragon slaying magic. Su Shin nodded. There's another question, you don't just master the dragon slaying magic of the fire department, do you? Zhang Hua asked a little too much. But Su Shin didn't admit it, but said nonsense. There may be many kinds of dragon slaying magic, but I only know the fire dragon slaying magic, but I also master other elemental magic, it's just a simple magic trick. It's just for cooperation, it's still the fire dragon slayer magic in essence. Then, can this old man think that mastering dragon slayer magic can perfectly cooperate with other magics? It can be considered that this is also one of the special departments of dragon slaying magic. Zhang Hua took a deep breath. Then he clasped his fists at Su Shin and said, young friend Su Shin can disclose such heaven-defying magic so selflessly, I am extremely impressed. Today, I have accepted the favor of little friend Su Shin. If I ask for something in the future, I will not be stingy. After all, the holy mage disappeared in place. Dragon Slayer magic. In the private room, Yao Xie had a weird expression. He really couldn't understand Su Shin's behavior, and he actually revealed his secret directly. This magic formula is correct, but to master dragon slaying magic, the conditions are too harsh. The old 9th level mage who was traveling with him frowned, and with his knowledge of magic, he could naturally see that Su Shin hadn't cheated on the magic formula. But no matter what, from today onwards, the name of this dragon-slaying magic will completely become famous in the whole world. Leaving the center of the arena, Su Shin came to the box where Yang-su and others were. The second arena competition that is about to start, will be between the Saintess of Light of the Holy Court Empire and Hong Yang, the strongest genius of the Temple of Elements. Since it was the competition on the same day, Su Shin naturally wanted to stay and watch it. Once in the box, brother, are you crazy? Why are you making your magic public? Yang-su raised her small face and looked at her elder brother with a puzzled expression. Don't worry, others won't be able to learn dragon-slaying magic. Su Shin replied very firmly. In fact, there is no absolute in everything. Maybe someone can master the fire dragon-slaying magic, but that will not affect Su Shin in any way. It might be better to say that Su Shin still hopes that others can master the magic of dragon slaying, and then recruit them into his own command. Have you tampered with the magic formula of dragon slaying magic? The golden retriever Jin Shisen couldn't help feeling a little worried when she heard Su Shin's words. If so, then Su Shin is blatantly playing tricks on everyone. No, the magic formula is absolutely correct, but the conditions for mastering dragon slaying magic are very strict. Looking at the whole world, I, Su Shin, have only mastered it. Don't worry too much, since I have disclosed the existence of dragon slaying magic, I know it well, and when the right time comes in the future, I will naturally explain it to you. Alright, the second competition is about to begin. Su Shin looked at the people in the room, and then changed the subject. People don't talk much anymore. Su Shin's monstrousness is well known to everyone, and he has a plan in mind for doing this. Brother, can I also learn Dragon Slayer? At this time, Yang Su asked with some expectation. Of course, part of the reason for making the Dragon Slayer magic public is also for you. Su Shin made a guarantee. With Yang Su's talent, if he didn't give her a cheat, he might only be able to linger at the stage of the 6th Order Mage for the rest of his life. After all, she is her own younger sister, so of course Su Shin has to think about the future for her. After Yang Su heard this, the anticipation on his face immediately turned into a bright smile. Looking at the center of the arena, hundreds of thousands of viewers were very concerned by Su Shin's dragon-slaying magic, and even the cheers were much less at the moment. The Holy Maiden of Light, Millicent, and the Temple of Elements, Hong Yang, are peerless geniuses in the traditional sense. Their strength is enough to qualify for the championship in any era. But in this year, they met Su Shin and Yao Xie, who mastered the magic of the abyss. The former is a trick. The latter's talent is also not inferior to that of Millicent and Hong Yang, and coupled with the particularity of abyss magic, his strength is far superior to those two. However, the arena competition between the two was very exciting. Millicent knows only light magic, but his accomplishments in light magic are very exaggerated. Hong Yang is a mage of 4 systems, earth, water, fire and wind, of which the fire system is the strongest. And the first shot is high-level magic. Finally, it was Hong Yang who defeated Millicent with a slight advantage. So far, this is how the top 3 of the first Global Mage Elite competition were decided. Long Meng was seriously injured and could not continue to fight against Millicent, so the latter will be the 4th place. The top 10 rewards are from the 1st to the 10th, and the degree of getting richer decreases in order. Just when everyone's arena competition for today is over, a figure slowly walked into the center of the field. It was Yao Xie. There is no group arena match for Yao Xie today. He won't have a bye in the next match. He wants to fight Hong Yang. Does this mean he wants to come on stage to say hello in advance? Wait, not good for some funny pre-show trash talk. He doesn't want to reveal his magic too, does he? Hundreds of thousands of spectators were confused by Yao Xie's sudden appearance, but they did not leave in a hurry. I saw Yao Xie walking slowly in front of Hong Yang. Just when the latter thought he was going to say something, Yao Xie looked at the audience around him and said loudly, "The magic I master is called abyss magic. I think everyone here will soon understand what abyss magic is." Someone got it right. This Yao Xie really followed Su Shin's example and wanted to reveal his magic. However, he did not disclose the magic formula. After all, although the abyss magic is powerful, the conditions to master it are not as harsh as the Dragon Slayer magic. If he makes it public, it will be terrifying that people from all over the world will be able to master this magic in a short period of time. Are you going to disclose the magic formula too? Referee Mu Wang looked at Yao Xie angrily. A few days ago, he deliberately invited Yao Xie to visit him at Prince Emu's mansion, but the other party completely ignored him. No, I'm not as selfless as Su Shin. Yao Xie chuckled, not knowing whether he was complimenting Su Shin or being sarcastic. What I want to say next is, I, Yao Xie, apply for the early finals. I, Yao Xie, will play against Su Shin and Hong Yang one-on-one. 0. As soon as this remark came out, the audience was in an uproar. Are you so crazy? One person against Su Shin and Hong Yang, who gave him the confidence and courage? Wait a minute, although we sound like Yao Xie is arrogant, but he dares to make this request. Do you dare to say that he has no confidence to defeat Su Shin and Hong Yang? That's true, but I guess neither Yang nor Su Xin will agree to his request. The audience said here, but Su Xin's voice was amplified by magic and echoed throughout the venue. I agree. Hearing this, Hong Yang, who was originally angry, couldn't help turning his anger into doubt, and looked at the box where Su Xin was. He pondered on the spot for a while, and then said, since you have this request, then it will be as you wish. Thank you. Yao Xie chuckled, cupped his fists, and left the venue. Looking at the background of Yao Xie's departure, King Mu felt more and more that things were going to unfold in a situation he could not have expected. Su Xin here, why do you agree? Shui Lianhua was very puzzled. The elite competition ended early. Hello everyone. Su Xin gave a simple and direct reason. Abyss magic has a strong restraint on ordinary magic. Do you have confidence? Jin 12 came forward and asked Su Xin. Don't worry, I have only used 30% of my strength so far. Su Xin smiled confidently. You, only 30%. Shui Lianhua was shocked. 100% of her strength. Su Xin has only revealed 30% of her strength so far. If he does his best, what will it be like? So that's how it is. Brother, you are really good. Even if there are 3 people fighting in the finals, as long as the remaining 70% of your strength is used, you can easily win the championship, right? My sister Yangsu is blindly worshipping Su Xin now. You're wrong, it's not the remaining 70% strength, it's the remaining 97% strength. Su Xin corrects Yangsu's mistake. Yangsu. Jin Shisen. Water Lotus. Jin 12 and others. Only 30% of the strength was used, and 97% of the strength was hidden and useless. Is this him a human? The people in the room were speechless for a long time. Looking at Su Xin's expression, they felt that the other party was not joking. I think I'm a bit hard to accept. I'll go back and calm down first. Shui Lianhua stroked her forehead. After staying with this monster for a long time, she always felt that she was a waste in the garbage dump. Jin Shisen stood where he was, with a dazed expression on his face. She and Su Xin were originally the same age, but she had never felt that the other party was so far away from her like now. Brother Su, you said that if you win the first place in this elite competition and win glory for the entire Kyushu, will His Majesty marry you? Li Cheng, a second-year senior at the Alchemy Club, suddenly winked and said with a smile. It's possible. Before Su Xin could reply, Jin 12 on the side nodded his head in approval. The Xia family has been able to control the Kyushu Empire for 1,500 years, how could it be possible that they have no foresight? As long as they are not stupid, 007 will try their best to establish a good relationship of trust with Su Xin. How can that work? Jin Shisen and Yang Su objected almost in unison. Instead, Su Xin fell silent. There are countless granddaughters and great-granddaughters of the Xia family, plus he, Su Xin, doesn't have a crush, maybe the dry belt might marry him off. If so, then Su Xin has a headache. Brother, what are you talking about? What will you do if His Majesty grants you a marriage? Seeing his elder brother's ambiguous attitude, Yang Su urged him with some dissatisfaction. I'll pretend I didn't hear and change the subject. Su Xin laughed. This answer made Yang Su and Jin Shisen a little dissatisfied, but they didn't continue the discussion. In the next few days, Su Xin was still deepening his proficiency in magic fusion. Although the final has changed from 1-to-1 to a 3-person melee, the date of the final will not be brought forward because that day happens to be the 1500th anniversary of the founding of the Kyushu Empire. And this day, which made the people of the entire Kyushu Empire extremely cheered, finally came. The Imperial Palace is located in the very center of the Imperial capital. Looking down, one can see that the golden palaces are row upon row, resplendent and magnificent. From early this morning, countless people were already standing outside the central square in front of the Imperial Palace. Compared to the Imperial capital Mage Arena, the entire central square can accommodate up to 5 million people. 10,000 people gathered together is already a magnificent scene of crowds of people. 5 million people. The scene was truly indescribable. As far as the eye could see, it was so densely packed that it was inexhaustible. What is surprising is that the entire square was surprisingly quiet, and 5 million people kept quiet in uniform. Hoo-hoo. Helicopters hovering high in the sky one after another, watching the movement around the square from a bird's eye view. The Imperial Guards had already established the highest standard of martial law outside the square. Contrary to Su Shen's imagination, there will be no military parade on National Day, but the so-called Sacred Heaven ceremony, held by Emperor Sha Wuji of the Kyushu Empire. Time is up. I saw a majestic figure walking slowly on the high wall of the palace in front of the central square. He was wearing a golden dragon robe, a golden imperial crown on his head, and a golden dragon aura lingered all over his body. A debut. It is the invisibly exuding the great majesty of the emperor. What the Sha family's royal family mastered was Qi Yu magic, which was extremely special, and only the Sha family's blood was qualified to practice it. Qi Yu magic is special because it is non-attribute magic, which can simulate any attribute magic, and its essence is the so-called magic power conversion. Of course, not all real people can learn it if they want to. The third emperor of the Kyushu Empire, Emperor Qianyuan, whose real name is Sha Wuji, is also the most powerful person in the entire Kyushu Empire. Perhaps in the whole world, there are some old monsters whose strength can be compared with Sha Wuji's, but they are only comparable, not surpassed. Regarding this emperor, some people say that he is about to die, while others say that he has already touched the threshold of a magician. There are different opinions. When Emperor Qianyuan appeared on the stage, 5 million spectators in the central square knelt together and shouted, "Long live your majesty." Although the Kyushu Empire has a noble title system, the kneeling ceremony has already been abolished. Ordinary people don't need to kneel down and salute when they meet the Duke. But today is special, coupled with the fact that these 5 million people kneeled spontaneously, there is no way to explain it. Get up. Emperor Qianyuan raised his hand lightly without anger and prestige. Immediately afterwards, it is the beginning of the so-called ceremony of offering sacrifices to heaven. The duration of this ceremony is not short, it will last for 7 hours, and the various etiquettes are cumbersome. Su Shen had already arrived at the central square, but she had to wait 7 hours before she could compete. From below he looked up at the emperor. The emperor didn't listen to what he said at all, and even felt that the other party was a remnant of feudalism. Finally, 7 hours of torment passed. Emperor Qianyuan stood on the high platform, and riling makeup appeared beside him angrily. Isn't that the number one beauty in Kyushu, Princess Huayan Sha Weijin? Besides Su Shen, senior brother Li Cheng suddenly laughed. Su Shen looked over. The Princess Huayan has a plump and slim figure, wearing a red dress and a golden silk veil on the outside. Her jet black hair is tied in a Luyun bun, her jade-like skin is blush, and she has moon eyebrows. The star eye is a peerless beauty. It stands to reason that it was the time of the national celebration ceremony, and all the people standing next to the emperor were top-notch powerhouses with high positions. The appearance of a princess was enough to show the emperor's love for this Princess Huayan. Princess Huayan looked ahead, as if she was looking for something. Suddenly, her gaze froze, and she focused on Su Shen, who was in the crowd in front of her. Seeing that Su Shen was also looking at her, she couldn't help turning her eyes slightly, as if a little shy. Su Shen, something is wrong. Is this him? Absolutely something is wrong. Why does this princess look so cute? She blushes a bubble teapot. Could it be that? They looked at the senior brother Li Cheng next to him. They must have been hit by this senior brother Wu Yazui, right? The emperor really wants to marry me. If I were the emperor, I would also marry my daughter or granddaughter to you. Looking at the younger generation in Kyushu, let alone one princess, there are several, and you are perfectly worthy of it. Brother Li Cheng patted Su Shen on the shoulder, and the magic sound transmission. If this is the case, then you can accept it. Anyway, becoming the emperor's son-in-law or grandson-in-law doesn't mean joining the Sha family. Generally speaking, to become a son-in-law is to become a royal family. However, this is not the case in the Kyushu Empire. When the daughter of the royal Sha family gets married, she is married. There is no such thing as a married woman. Su Shen looked at Emperor Qianyuan again, and found that the emperor was looking at him, and even smiled imperceptibly. This made Su Shen's heart skip a beat. Su Shen lowered her head with a gloomy expression. He hoped that he was narcissistic and overthinking. Let's start. At this moment, Emperor Qianyuan gave an order to others. The person who was ordered was not a small person, but Shu Zhen, the Duke of Zhenguo in the imperial capital, and also a holy rank mage. Duke Zhen coughed lightly, and immediately announced loudly. The final of the first Global Mage Elite competition is officially starting now. Voice just fell. Seeing 4 Imperial 9th level mages appearing around the center of the square at the same time, they immediately cast defensive magic together, making the center of the square covered by a transparent square magic shield, which can ensure that the remaining forces of the subsequent final battle will not spread to the surrounding areas. At the same time, Su Xin, Yao Xie, and Hong Yang stepped into the center of the square, each standing in the same direction, forming a triangular confrontation. And on the high wall in front of the central square, a huge screen is hung, and it is necessary to synchronize the 3-person decisive battle of this elite competition. I should have said I was going for a 1-on-2, not a 3-handed melee. At this time, Yao Xie was no longer the restrained and low-key before. He showed his fangs, and spoke arrogantly and confidently. What are you pretending to be? The 8th step. Su Xin raised his brows. He was not in a good mood just after the episode where Princess Huion blushed towards him. Hey, even though I'm not an 8th level mage, I can win even against an 8th level mage. Yao Xie grinned, and the red light in his eyes flashed away. What? This Yao Xie said that he can defeat the 8th order mage, and he said so firmly. It's crazy. A small country in Anan can produce such a genius. After the ceremony of offering sacrifices to heaven, the atmosphere in the square was no longer quiet, but began to become lively. After Yao Xie's words, conversations suddenly started on the field. Someone else yelled, Su Xin, Hong Yang, since Yao Xie is so crazy, you two should work together to kick him out first and then decide the winner. The magic circle jointly cast by the 4 Empire 9th level mages naturally also has a sound insulation effect. Su Xin and Hong Yang couldn't hear this, and even if they did, they couldn't really unite. From Su Xin's point of view, he hopes that the 2 people on the opposite side will unite to make him a bit challenging. Lightning gun. With a flick of Su Xin's right hand, a lightning spear was condensed in his palm, and he threw it at Yao Xie in front of him. The thunder light gun turned into a flash of shock in an instant, and it came to Yao Xie in the blink of an eye, and was about to hit him. With Yao Xie's right arm in one gear, the skin and bones cracked, and the bones began to proliferate at a speed visible to the naked eye. In an instant, they turned into a bone shield that easily blocked the penetration of the thunder gun. Yao Xie did not reveal this kind of bone hyperplasia magic before, but it made the audience a little bit exclaimed. I'm not interested in continuing to fight with you guys. Yao Xie sneered, and took the time to glance at Emperor Qianyuan on the high platform. He slammed his arms on the ground, and shouted with a ferocious face, Territorial magic, bone burial abyss. Rumble. I saw the ground of the square suddenly tumbling and shaking, and in an instant, dozens of hundreds of giant mountains climbed up, and each mountain was composed of endless bones. The ground is like the stomach of some kind of monster. It is bright red and flesh-colored, and it is extremely sticky. It is impossible to maintain the center of gravity when stepping on it. In just a few tens of seconds, the entire center of the square changed drastically. The expressions of the 4 9th level magicians changed even more. When Yao Xie performed this trick, an unprecedented magic power filled the surroundings, which was full of evil and aggressiveness. Compared with Yao Xie's Abyss Domain Abyss of Bones when Yao Xie defeated Zhao Tu, today's Abyss of Bones and Soul Burial is obviously a complete version. Su Xin hasn't moved yet, but there was an exclamation from Hong Yang at the side. The magic power of the abyss was like a maggot on the tarsus bone, and it penetrated into his body without paying attention. This was obviously the result of Yao Xie's deliberate control. Look at Hong Yang again. After being penetrated by the magic power of the abyss, the skin all over his body looked sickly red like a piece of iron, and his face was even more hideous because of the pain. He wanted to cast some magic, but found that the magic power in his body was fighting against the magic power of the abyss that entered his body, and he had no time to mobilize it. Hong Yang, who wanted to mobilize the magical power between heaven and earth, suddenly found that there was no magical power in the world that he could mobilize in the so-called territorial magic. Just a face-to-face. Hong Yang, the great genius of the Temple of Elements, had his entire strength cut to the point that none of them survived. Hong Yang clenched his teeth tightly, and in the painful struggle, he couldn't help but glance at Su Xin next to him. Seeing this, the whole person was stunned, and a feeling of, I can't accept grass honey, came to my heart. Su Shin acted like a normal person, but Hong Yang clearly saw a lot of abyssal magic power pouring into the latter's body. I give up. Hong Yang was not reconciled, but there was nothing he could do about it. As soon as he finished speaking, he was pulled out from the center of the square with magic by a 9th-level transcendent great mage. Dragon Slayer magic is really not bad. Yao Xie saw that Su Shin could easily resist the erosion of the magic power of the abyss. It was a little surprising. Dark Abyss Bone Erosion Claw. After he finished speaking, his face became grim again. Yao Xie didn't intend to fight Su Shin at all. He will win with an absolutely crushing attitude. During this process, he did not allow Su Shin to resist his moves. Boom boom boom. In an instant, the tens of hundreds of giant bone mountains rang together, and the horrifying countless corpses on them were crawling like ants, and in a blink of an eye, the bone mountains turned into giant bone arms. At the same time, the fleshy ground under Su Shin's feet also began to squirm, forming a series of disgusting and sticky scarlet tentacles trying to restrain Su Shin. 5 million viewers are holding their breath right now. Yao Xia's move was too terrifying. They couldn't understand the essence of it, but it was a kind of powerful and invincible to face directly. Just like this, they watched the huge bony arms covering the sky and slapping towards Su Shin like a wild wave. Yang Su, Jin Shisen and others were also terrified, as if they had forgotten what Su Shin said earlier, that he retained 97% of his strength. Gurgling. Right now, Su Shin's whole body began to surge with surging magic power. His body seemed to be equivalent to a magic spring at this moment. Countless magic power gushed out from his body and began to form a circular shield to defend it like gold. Bang! Boom! Nearly 100 bone arms have come under pressure at this moment, heavily bombarding Su Shin's magic defense shield. Crush me! Yao Xie yelled angrily, and saw that the magic shield was like a broken eggshell, and cracks began to appear. That's it. The murderous intent flashed in Yao Xie's eyes. In his previous battle against Zhao Tu, he could instantly kill the opponent, but he didn't do that. That was to prevent others from being on guard in advance. But now facing Su Shin, Yao Xie had no choice but to pay attention to the latter's monstrosity, and he made up his mind that he would not let it grow. So at this moment, Yao Xie wanted to kill Su Shin with one move, making everyone unable to react. Su Shin's senses are so keen, no matter how well the opponent restrains his killing intent, he cannot escape Su Shin's perception. You are indeed the same as the Tu Xuan. Su Shin's complexion gradually turned cold. Are you ready? Su Shin raised his right fist. Preparing for what? Yao Xie sneered. I'm going to kill you with one move. Hong Yang, who retired from the field, did not leave, but continued to look at the two people who were fighting on the field after taking some magical potions. Only when you are on the same stage with Su Shin and Yao Xie, can you feel the difference between yourself and these two people. Hong Yang, are you okay? The elders of the Sun Temple quickly appeared beside Hong Yang and asked eagerly. It's okay, it's just, when the strange magic power invaded the body just now, I always felt a little familiar. Hong Yang's brows showed a little thought and memory. Familiar? Have you met an opponent who mastered that abyss magic before? The elder of the Sun Temple was stunned and asked. No, not the opponent. Hong Yang's expression suddenly shook. I remembered. It's the miasma of God's abandoned continent. The name God abandoned continent sounds exaggerated, but it is actually on Blue Star. That continent is not even as large as the Warcraft continent, only 100 million square kilometers. But strangely, the continent's magnetic field is extremely strange, and the signals and communications of all technological equipment do not work there. And what makes mages still unable to figure out the reason is the miasma that shrouds the land around God's abandoned continent. Once any high-level mage enters the God-abandoned continent, he will not be able to use the magic power of the world, and after his own magic power is exhausted, he will not be able to meditate on the spot to replenish the energy depends on the magic power potion. And once he stays in the miasma environment of God's abandoned continent for a long time, he will be healed into his body, lose the rationality he should have, and become a monster who only knows how to kill. There are also many monsters in God's abandoned continent, but those monsters absorb the miasma all the year round, and they are completely different from ordinary monsters. Not to mention they are extremely aggressive, and their strength is also stronger than monsters of the same level. The most important thing is that even high-level monsters in the God-abandoned continent are irrational. Therefore, God's abandoned continent is also one of the mysterious continents that have not been cracked so far on Blue Star. But it is worth mentioning that the God continent was just an ordinary Warcraft continent 100 years ago. That is to say, the miasma in God's abandoned continent is the so-called magic power of the abyss. The elders of the Sun Temple were surprised. After finishing speaking, he fell silent suddenly. Here we come. Su Shin is about to make a move. At this time, Hong Yang suddenly gave a low shout. Look at the center of the square. I saw Su Shin's limbs transformed into dragon claws, and the exposed skin was covered with gleaming red dragon scales, and a ferocious dragon tail protruded from the tailbone, swimming behind him. Magic transformation. Su Shin groaned in his heart. He didn't intend to use fusion magic power. This trick is his biggest hole card, and there is no need to use it until the most critical time. Although Yao Xie is strong, Su Shin never feels any threat from him. Under magical transformation, Su Shin's other dragon-slaying magic powers were all transformed into flame magic power. In an instant, the flame magic power in his body increased from 300,000 to nearly 2 million at one time. At the same time, with the four limbs transformed into dragons, Su Shin's strength increased by 6 times, which is also close to 2 million. Now Su Shin's strongest posture is nothing more than using fusion magic power on the basis of dragon limbs to increase his combat power by 16 times at one time. There is a huge difference between a 6-fold increase in combat power and a 16-fold increase in combat power. That is to say, Su Shin, who threatened to kill Yao Xie with one move, was still using less than half of his peak strength, or even less. Dragon Slayer Mysteries Chong Red Lotus Supernova. I saw Su Shin clench the dragon claw on his right arm, and then punched forward. When he didn't make a move, all the aura was restrained, and he looked like an ordinary person. But when he punched out, I saw that the whole square started to shake violently, and the fist with the power of 2 million numerical values punched away, plus the magic power of 2 million numerical value flames, a scarlet flame red dragon with a length of hundreds of meters was immediately displayed ferociously in front of everyone's eyes. As soon as the red flame red dragon came out, the surrounding temperature suddenly rose, and the space was buzzing, and distortions appeared under the terrifying high temperature. Clatter. At the same time, Yao Xia's nearly 100 giant bone arms also began to melt rapidly at this moment, and they were melted into a puddle of bone water flowing in the entire square in an instant, and the scene was out of control like a river bursting a bank. Yao Xia was shocked, with a horrified expression. An unprecedented sense of sight of death directly filled my heart. Su Shin can't use the magical power of heaven and earth in his territorial magic. Where does he get such exaggerated magical power? Burst. With Su Shin shouting loudly, the huge body of the Qian red dragon suddenly turned into a red day and exploded. In an instant, the square magic defensive formation jointly cast by the 4 9th level mages began to expand irregularly like a balloon. And in the magic defense circle, a sea of flames surged violently, burning everything clean in an instant. The 5 million spectators outside the arena only felt their eyes stinging, even though the magic defense array was not broken, but the scorching fire stimulated them to be unable to open their eyes, and they were so hot that they couldn't open them. They couldn't feel the momentum of Su Shin's punch, but they could see the shocking scene brought by Su Shin's punch. That is a kind of destructive momentum that wants to burn the world to the ground. ... Dragon Slayer magic. This is the strongest move of Su Shin's Fire Dragon Slayer magic. Before that, Long Meng's holy body magic was also very strong, but the price of having a strong body was that he couldn't use magic. The Dragon Slayer magic is completely different. While the body is strong, the power of magic is even more exaggerated. Su Shin. 1. Where is Yao Xie? I can't see others. The exclamations of 5 million spectators were earth-shattering. Just when they thought it would take a long time for the endless sea of flames in the center of the square to dissipate, they suddenly saw the sea of flames start to condense like a whirlwind, and immediately poured into Su Shin's room in vivo. This is also the perverted side of Su Shin, magic recovery. He used up 2 million mana in one go. If he couldn't kill his opponent in seconds, he could recover part of the mana so that he wouldn't fall into a weak state. until the sea of fire dies down. In the center of the square, apart from Su Xin, there is no sign of Yao Xie Nuo Li's. The opponent is an abyss mage, and his physical body has extremely powerful regenerative ability, but he can be vaporized at once, so how can he talk about regeneration? Disappeared. Oh my god, Su Xin really killed Yao Xie in one move. A move that evaporates from the world. It makes people unable to scream and react at all. Good Su Xin, so scary. Su Xin is only 18 years old this year. This is an invincible performance at the same level. It's too ruthless. Yao Xie is considered a top talent, and he fell like this. The audience looked at Su Xin standing proudly where he was, and were so shocked that they couldn't recover for a long time. Many strong mages lowered their heads and pondered, thinking about a fact that they couldn't believe. If the trick just now exploded in the crowd of 5 million people, I'm afraid it wouldn't have vaporized 5 million people in an instant. This mighty magic, can it really be regarded as 7th level magic? This Su Xin, is he really a 7th tier mage? In an instant, shocking cheers resounded from inside and outside the entire central square. In the Global Mage Elite competition, the champion of the Kyushu Empire, an 18-year-old boy, finally won the championship. For the general public, this is a matter of great pride. They were cheering, shouting the name of Su Xin frantically. At this moment, all eyes were on Su Xin. Look at Su Xin again. There was some doubt between his brows, and his eyes were set on a piece of red broken bone not far in front of him. This should be Yao Xia's bone, but it was not vaporized by his Red Lotus supernova move. Suddenly, a cluster of rich abyssal magic power suddenly erupted from the red broken bones, followed by a phantom of a humanoid monster slowly condensing out. This phantom has a pair of black wings and big wings behind it, 2 horns on its forehead, and the pupils in the blood-red eyes are spiral. Ziying rolled his eyes, looked around, and then fixed his eyes on Qianyuan Emperor Sha Wuji on the high platform in front of him, as if he had judged that he was the strongest person in the audience. Su Xin clearly saw the slight movement of the phantom's lips. He subconsciously turned his head to look at Emperor Qianyuan above him, and saw that the latter only frowned once or twice, and then returned to normal. 930 Finally, the corner of Ziying's mouth raised, and it began to slowly drift away. Before disappearing, Ziying looked at Su Xin. A divine thought ignored the language and directly told Su Xin a word. You, not bad. Quote, is it the forces behind Tu Xuan and Yao Xie? Su Xin lowered his head and pondered. Dare to face and provoke Emperor Qianyuan, which shows that the opponent's strength is definitely the top among the holy rank mages. But Su Xin has never heard of such a force. The first Global Mage Elite competition is officially over, and the winner of the first place is Su Xin. At this time, Lord Zhen Guo coughed lightly and shouted loudly, and the sound echoed throughout the central square. My Kyushu has such a talented person, I am very happy. Su Xin, I now confer you the honorary Marquis of the Kyushu Empire, titled Champion. Emperor Qianyuan got up from the dragon chair. His voice was not loud, but it lingered in everyone's ears very clearly. There is no fief and hereditary system for honorary titles, only status. However, this marquis is titled Champion Marquis. This is Su Xin's idol. He never thought he could get this title. Of course he is very satisfied. Thank you, Your Majesty, for the honor. Su Xin didn't react too slowly. He knelt down on one knee and received the seal. If you are knighted, you will naturally kneel down. Get up, the champion Hu Qiyu will not worship me in the future. Emperor Qianyuan slightly raised his hand and granted Su Xin another privilege. The meaning of not worshipping is not that Su Xin should not kneel down when he sees Emperor Qianyuan in the future, but that he does not need to salute. Millions of people in Kyushu couldn't help being greatly moved. This kind of treatment is enough to show how happy Emperor Qianyuan was. In the rewarding session, the magic treasure for the first place must be received later. Su Xin is not in a hurry. Just when Su Xin thought that the Emperor's second child's reward was over, Emperor Qianyuan suddenly smiled and asked Su Xin, Marquis Champion, you have no marriage, I like your talent, so I intend to betroth Princess Huaiyan to you, what do you think? Su Xin was shocked. Is this Murphy's Law? What is feared will really come. Princess Huaiyan Sha Huaijin is the great-granddaughter of Emperor Qianyuan. Her father is King Emu's younger brother. Sha Xuanan, who is recognized as the Prince of Xiaoyao, but he seems to be far away from the power center of the imperial capital. At this time, Sha Weijin obviously knew about this a long time ago. I am afraid that even if Su Xin did not win the first place, Emperor Qianyuan would still give him a marriage. After all, Su Xin is only 18 years old, and his bright future really blinds everyone's eyes. It is worth mentioning that Sha Weijin is only 17 years old this year, which is the age when she first fell in love. Su Xin's appearance is not bad, coupled with the aura of the peerless genius and various performances in this elite competition, the #1 beauty of the Kyushu Empire is really not too repulsive. Next to the square, Jin Shisen's face was so gloomy that he could drip water. Of course she hoped that Su Xin would refuse on the spot, but wouldn't Su Xin's refusal on the spot in such a scene be the same as slapping Emperor Qianyuan on the face? Thank you, Your Majesty, Su Xin, it's just that Su Xin already has someone he likes in his heart. Su Xin looked up and replied in a steady tone. This is an extremely bold reply, almost BBEJ, equivalent to rejecting the marriage gift from Emperor Qianyuan. After Emperor Qianyuan heard this, the smile on his face did not decrease. This made some viewers who like to make up their minds think that Emperor Qianyuan might just appreciate Su Xin's neither humble nor overbearing. Champion Marquis is a good man, and it's normal for a good man to have many confidants. After you marry Yuan, you can marry other women, and there is no distinction between wives and concubines. Su Xin, King of Dogs. When Emperor Qianyuan brought his words to this point, where would Su Xin find any reason to refuse? But Jin Shisen felt a little better when he heard this. My younger sister Yang Su's face was gloomy, she was thinking about who is the favorite person my brother mentioned just now. Hey, even if Su Xin is a heaven-defying genius, doesn't he still have the confidence to refuse in front of Emperor Qianyuan? Shui Lianhua sneered and whispered, as if she was displeased with Emperor Qianyuan's behavior. Speak less. Hua Yuk at the side quickly motioned her to keep quiet. Su Xin continued to remain silent. Seeing this, Emperor Qianyuan pondered a little. Then he continued. The champion Marquis doesn't like Yuan. It's okay, there are many daughters waiting to be married in my royal family, you can choose whatever you want. Quiet. As soon as this remark came out, the audience fell silent. Everyone was stunned. Emperor Qianyuan loved Su Xin to such an extent. This is the supreme emperor of the Kyushu Empire. He has been in existence for hundreds of years, and he has never seen such a talented person. He is also a peerless and arrogant person who is ahead of the times. Now, everyone looked at Su Xin with envy. I'm so envious. It would be great if I had the talent of Su Xin. The emperor's daughter and granddaughter can be chosen at will, understand, you can choose. Su Xin, thank you, Your Majesty. Su Xin took a deep breath, and there was no reason to refuse. Good. Emperor Qianyuan smiled and nodded. After he continued to say a few words to the crowd, he left first, and handed over the rest to Xu Zhen, Duke of Zhen. Zhen Guogong walked up to Su Xin, smiled and congratulated, I am here to congratulate the champion. Thank you, Duke. Su Xin smiled wryly. Brother, do you really want to marry the princess? When they came to Yang Su and the others, Cheng Su immediately followed and asked. I can't marry you. Su Xin spread her hands, expressing helplessness. This is actually a good thing. If Emperor Qianyuan only rewarded Su Xin superficially, it would not be a good thing. But the fact of giving the marriage shows that Emperor Qianyuan really accepted that there was such a person in his Kyushu Empire who might threaten the imperial power in the future and said to upgrade Tianzhou. Duke Zhen's congratulations also refer to this aspect. Because he knew that Emperor Qianyuan insisted on forcibly marrying the princess, which meant that he had to vigorously train Su Xin. Su Xin, who was originally a monster, is now favored by the biggest power of the Kyushu Empire. As long as he doesn't die, it is just around the corner to climb the pyramid of the Kyushu Empire. Then who was the woman you said you liked just now? Younger sister Yang Su raised her face suddenly and asked innocently. She is curious. Which vixen seduced Gigi while he was not paying attention? You guess. Su Xin gave her sister Yang Su an angry look. How can he have any favorite person? At most he has some good feelings. For example, Jin Shisen, and Liang Yun, the class leader who likes to be shy, these two girls, Su Xin, have a crush on them. Most importantly, It has only been a few months for Su Shin to travel to this era, and he has been working on improving his strength, so he has no time to sing Fengyu. Seeing that Yang Su still had something to say, Su Shin waved her hand and asked her to keep herself quiet for a while. Next day, Su Shin dressed up and set off to enter the palace. The reward for the first place in the elite contest is too generous. Su Shin came here specially to collect it today, especially the magic treasure. Su Shin is looking forward to it. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Champion Hu. It was none other than Xia Hongming who received Su Shin. He clapped his hands at the moment, joking with Su Shin as a friend. I have seen His Royal Highness Hongming. Su Shin cupped her fists. Hey, there is no need for these etiquettes between you and me. I know that you don't like ink marks, so let's get down to business. Regarding the reward for the first place, Grandpa Huang temporarily changed his mind to tear off the magic treasure that was originally prepared. Prepare to change to a more powerful magic treasure. So, choose your wife first today. Quick, come with me. Xia Hongming pulled Su Shin very eagerly, and soon walked into a magnificent hall. Su Shin really didn't react a bit. Why is the dog emperor in such a hurry? There are quite a few daughters in my Xia family who are waiting to be married, but there are also good and bad ones, so Grandpa Huang carefully selected 5 for you. Here, they are all here. Su Shin and Xia Hongming sat down. After Xia Hongming finished speaking, he smiled and motioned Su Shin to look outside the hall. I saw 5 beauties approaching. Xia Hongming introduced them one by one. The one on the far left has snowy muscles and black hair, tall and tall, graceful and graceful, with a cool temperament. Her name is Xia Hongzhu. She is 20 years old this year, and she is the princess of Ningzhou County. She is a 6th-level high-ranking mage. Xia Hongzhu's seniority is Xia Hongming's cousin, but she doesn't seem very happy at the moment. Looking at Su Shin sitting in front, she suddenly snorted coldly. It can be seen that this Jun Hongzhu is quite arrogant, and her situation of being selected as a concubine naturally makes her extremely unhappy. Second from the left, her lips are red without pimples, her eyebrows are green without painting, her face is like a silver plate, her eyes are like water apricots, and her temperament is dignified and bright. Her name is Xia Weishuan. She is 18 years old, and she is a 4th-rank high-ranking mage. This is a woman with a ladylike temperament. At this moment, her eyes are like autumn water, without emotion, but she nodded politely to Su Shin. The one in the middle is the number 1 beauty in Kyushu, Xia Weijin, who is also the youngest. She is 17 years old this year, but she is a 5th-rank low-ranking mage with great talent. First on the right, she is more like a girl next door, with curved eyebrows and a slightly raised nose, playful and cute. Seeing her, Su Shin couldn't help but sneak a glance at Xia Hongming, who was smiling at the corner of his mouth. This is Xia Hongming's younger sister Xia Hongyu, who is also 17 years old. She was granted the title of Princess Anning, but her talent is slightly inferior, and she is only a 3rd-level high-ranking mage. Xia Hongyu blinked at Su Shin, seeing Su Shin looking at her, secretly made a face. The last one, her face was like white jade, her face was like a flower, and no makeup was applied on her face, only a string of bright pearls hung around her neck, emitting a faint halo, which made her look more like a carved jade. This is King Emu's daughter, Xia Honghua, Princess Feng Yuha, but her character is a bit tough. Completely disregarding her father's orders, she raised her willow eyebrows and stared at Su Shin, lightly scolded. Have you seen enough yet? The 5 princesses and princesses each have their own merits, and they are all rare beauties. People can't help feeling the strong genes of the royal family. Among them, Xia Hongzhu and Xia Honghua were obviously repulsed by this kind of scene, and they didn't give Su Shin any good looks. There was also some hidden gloom on Xia Weijin's pretty face. Su Shin didn't agree on the spot yesterday, which made her feel a little grudged. As for Xia Hongyu, she was a little heartless, as if she thought it was fun. The last Xia Weishuan, she was dignified and polite, but she couldn't see what was in her heart at this moment. The 5 beauties have one thing in common, that is, they can all practice Xia family's Qi-Yu magic. Hey, can you choose Aunt Hongyu? Aunt Hongyu treats me the best. And at this time, the little loli who came out of nowhere suddenly appeared in front of Su Shin, shaking his arm and pleading. Wairo, go back without courtesy. Xia Hongming immediately scolded. This is his youngest daughter. This startled Su Shin. almost thought that the dog emperor was out of his mind and would not let such a small cub be spared. Ah, Su Xin was speechless for a moment. It seems to be the same for everyone, but it seems to be different. As far as Su Xin is concerned, he has never met a woman who made him really make up his mind to be with him for a lifetime, so there is no one he particularly likes, and there is no one he particularly dislikes. When it comes to love at first sight, it didn't happen to Su Xin. Hurry up and choose, what are you inking? Sha Honghua, who is hotter than her sister Yangsu, is even more dissatisfied when she sees that Su Xin is hesitant to make a decision. If this were a massage parlor scene, the 5 of them would become technicians. They are princesses and princesses, they are distinguished, how have they ever been subjected to such anger? Which of you already has a sweetheart? Su Xin asked suddenly. He won't do anything about the Tauren, but I, Su Xin, love God of War. No, do you think that the children of our royal family have to communicate with each other since they were young? Before they are 18 years old, they have to gather together to practice all the time. Sha Honghua replied with a sneer. Before coming, her father Mu Wang confessed that she had better be selected by Su Xin, which made her even more angry, feeling like she was about to be sold by her father. The other 4 beauties all stared at Su Xin, waiting for his decision. This made Su Xin even more headache. He was suddenly out of breath. If the dog emperor hadn't forced me, I, Su Xin, would have shown this embarrassment. No choice. Su Xin suddenly snorted softly. Su Xin, you. Sha Hongming on the side was a little puzzled, and Su Xin was obviously a little annoyed. I want it all. But what Su Xin said next made Sha Hongming stunned on the spot. Want it all. All. She subconsciously looked at the 5 girls in front of her, and as expected, even her own younger sister showed the same angry expression as the other 4. I thought Champion Hu was such a powerful person, but I didn't expect that he is the same as other men. You are also a stinky man with thick eyebrows and big eyes. Sha Honghua was furious. Naturally, she was somewhat curious about Su Xin, and even looked forward to it. After all, Su Xin can be said to be the most defiant talent so far, not one of them. How could a young girl not care about such characters? Well now, this Su Xin seems to be a gentleman, but he has this temperament. Su Xin, don't you want to make them feel disgusted with you, and then ask Grandpa Huang to voluntarily withdraw the engagement, right? That's useless. It is impossible to change what Grandpa Shi Shen decides. Sha Hongming asked through magic sound transmission. Su Xin shook his head and replied via voice transmission, no, I'm serious. Anyway, marrying 1 is marrying, and marrying 5 is also marrying. What's the difference? This made Sha Hongming startled. Yes, Su Xin is only 18 years old, he is the young Wei Ji. Thinking back to Sha Hongming when he was 18 years old, he wanted to embrace all the beauties in the world, but as he grew older, he gradually stopped caring about women. I'm going to complain to Grandpa Huang. The little Lolita Sha Huairou seemed to have received someone's voice transmission, and happily shook her little hand and left the palace. The atmosphere in the hall was still at a stalemate. The 5 beauties all glared at Su Xin, hating him for not knowing good from bad. Grandpa Huang said, yes. Grandpa Huang also asked Huaxin Deluo, is it enough? If not enough, add more. After half a day, little Lolita reported the good news. After hearing the news, Sha Hongming's face was ponderous for a while, as if he was thinking about Emperor Qianyuan's intentions. Su Xin heard a different feeling in his ears. Angry. Emperor Qianyuan was angry. Not enough to add. He is definitely angry. After the 5 princesses heard the news from the little Lolita, they immediately left angrily. Sha Honghua even threatened to die and never marry. You run them away. Little Lolita Sha Huairou waved her little hands, fearing that the world would not be chaotic. Su Xin looked at her, and couldn't help but hear Tian'an University's legitimate Lolita, Ji Yu Mengmeng. Compared with the latter, Mouth Huairou is a normal loli. It seems that Grandpa Huang really likes you, Su Xin. Sha Hongming recovered from his contemplation, and sighed inexplicably. In fact, he couldn't understand that Su Xin's behavior of wanting everything was obviously a bit too much, but Emperor Qianyuan still agreed. But anyway, now Su Xin is absolutely in full swing. Would you like to visit the Royal Magic Curry? Next, Sha Hongming made a suggestion. There are too many types of magic books collected by the Royal Magic, 220, Curry, and the first place can choose 3 of them at will. Su Shin nodded. He is naturally very interested. At the moment, under Xia Hongming's leadership, Su Shin and Xia Hongming entered the Royal Magic Library. In Magic Curry, Su Shin stayed for 3 days. Only then did he select 3 books from the crowd of magic books, namely the Thunder Magic Book, Thunder Emperor, the Fire Magic Book, Burning Heaven Flame, and the Necromancer Magic Book, Billion Necromancer Formation. The names of the 3 magic books correspond to the strongest magic in them, and they are all holy magic. Any type of magic, as long as it reaches the level of the holy rank, it will have the power to destroy the world. After coming out of the magic vault, Xia Hongming led Su Shin to the palace hall. This was to meet Emperor Qianyuan in person, and by the way to receive a generous reward for the first place in this elite competition. Soon, inside the resplendent 9th 5-year hall, Emperor Qianyuan sat high on the throne, with a slight smile on his face, looking at Su Shin who was walking slowly. Champion Hu Su Shin, see your majesty. Although there is no need to salute for the privilege, superficial work still needs to be done. Su Shin immediately bowed to Emperor Qianyuan to salute. Well, I haven't seen Champion Hu for a few days, and I miss him very much. Emperor Qianyuan smiled softly, then waved his big hand, and a black long spear was suspended in front of Su Shin's eyes. This is a treasure, the spear that penetrates space. Among the magic treasures, its level is also high. Its main ability is that it can easily break through most barriers and magic circles. Once it locks on the opponent, it will ignore the space distance hit the opponent. In addition, the biggest feature of this spear is its own magic. I think that the dragon-slaying magic of Champion Hu should be very suitable for this treasure. Emperor Qianyuan's introduction to this treasure immediately sounded in Su Shin's ears. And Xia Hongmingdu at the side was shocked. Others don't know, but he knows very well that this spear that pierces space was Emperor Qianyuan's favorite weapon. Su Shin thanks your majesty. Su Shin was overjoyed, picked up the black spear, put it in his hand and couldn't put it down. This gun is a rare weapon even for close combat, not to mention the powerful feature of ignoring space distance. Certainly, the level of magic treasures generally matches that of holy rank mages. Although 9th level transcendent mages can also use them, they can exert their greatest power in the hands of holy rank mages. With Su Shin's current strength, it is obviously not unrealistic to want to stimulate the strongest power of this Baosha spear. Even urging the gun is extremely laborious. As for some other rewards, the champion who can follow Hongming to receive them later. I know that the champion whose dragon-slaying magic requires too much mana resources, and the champion who can look forward to it. Emperor Qianyuan continued to say something with a smile. Su Shin can't do anything at the moment except to say thank you. Only at this time did he truly understand that if there is a strong elder who dotes on you, then how smooth sailing will be on the road of cultivation. But Emperor Qianyuan was so kind to Su Shin that Su Shin felt a little unreasonable. But for now, Emperor Qianyuan really wanted to train Su Shin. Also, when will Champion Hu plan to hold the wedding? Just when Su Shin thought Emperor Qianyuan was about to finish speaking, the other party brought up a topic that gave Su Shin a headache. 3 years later, Su Shin had already planned in his mind, and raised his head and said. Emperor Qianyuan smiled and asked, why? Su Shin is currently in his youth, and it is the golden growth period on the way of cultivation. He does not want to be bound by emotions too early, so he wants to make a 3-year agreement with His Majesty. After 3 years, Su Shin will definitely step into the 9th level Transcendent Master. It's all about another wedding, and people in the world will have no doubts about it. It seems that you, Su Shin, also know that marrying the 5 princesses of the Xia family at one time will also attract doubts. Xia Hongming on the side is a little bit complaining. But he was still a little surprised. Surprised by Su Shin himself. He had just established himself in front of Emperor Qianyuan, and within 3 years he would definitely step into the 9th rank of Transcendent Master. This kind of self-confidence is probably only Su Shin in the world. Allow. Emperor Qianyuan took a deep look at Su Shin, and simply agreed. Actually, a wedding is just a ceremony. Since Emperor Qianyuan had already spoken, the entire Kyushu Empire already knew that even if the 5 princesses did not hold a wedding, they would have been labeled as Su-Wei women. At last, Emperor Qianyuan asked Su Shen whether the champion's mansion would be built in the imperial capital or in Tianan City. The latter thought for a while and chose Tianan City. The water in the imperial capital was too deep, and Su Shen felt that he couldn't grasp it, and he didn't want to be trapped in such a power center so as not to affect his cultivation. Furthermore, Tianan province is Su Shen's hometown, and now that he is in power, if he doesn't go home to pretend, it is tantamount to traveling at night in brocade clothes. Back off. Emperor Qianyuan waved his hand, and then Su Shen and Xia Hongming retreated together. After Su Shen and Xia Hongming left, a black shadow suddenly appeared beside Emperor Qianyuan. Your Majesty, the underworld has recently received many commissions, all of which are to assassinate Su Shen, and the commissioners are probably from other countries. The black shadow appeared, turned into an old man with a cold expression, and reported. I know, from now on after 1.1, you will stay by Su Shen's side and protect him personally. Yes, the old man in black should be respectful. This is the shadow cultivated by Emperor Qianyuan. Although he is not a holy mage, his fighting power is also top-notch among the 9th-level transcendent mages, and he also controls part of the intelligence department of the empire. As long as Su Shen was within the territory of the Kyushu Empire, it would be impossible for him to be successfully assassinated. It is too easy for Xia Wuji to protect a person in his own territory. There is no such thing as a strong man in other countries to send a holy mage to assassinate Su Shen. The number of holy mages is too small, and they are all discernible. Once they make a move, they cannot be covered up. For example, a holy mage attacking the genius of the Kyushu Empire is equivalent to launching a nuclear attack, and the consequences of that are unbearable. Chapter 91. Regarding the mana resources, Su Shen was not disappointed. Su Shen received 50 billion worth of magic power resources under Xia Hongming at one time, which is a lot, and this 50 billion magic power resources are only the first batch. When Su Shen is exhausted, there will naturally be a second and third batch of magic resources supplied. Emperor Qianyuan had already made a decision to train Su Shen, so he would not be stingy in this regard. In addition, Su Shen and Xia Hongming specifically requested that they need some special magic power potions to increase their spiritual power, and the total value should account for 2/3 of the 50 billion magic power resources. This is not. When Su Shen walked out of the palace, he couldn't help touching the space ring on his right hand, with a happy face. As long as the growth rate of spiritual power can keep up, then theoretically Su Shen can continue to improve his strength at a high speed. Su Shen's particularity lies in the fact that there is no bottleneck at the mage level, and only needs to accumulate panel data. It should be noted that because of this, Su Shen cannot use the magical power of heaven and earth. Imperial Hotel. Yang Su and a group of people gathered together. They just received a summons from their big brother, and they were about to return to Tianan province. Wait until Su Shen comes back. The faces of Yang Su and Jin Shisen were a bit ugly, as if they wanted to make a bad face for Su Shen deliberately. Our big genius is back, isn't he going to bring his 5 wives with him when he returns to Tianan province this time? Yang Su and Jin Shisen didn't speak, but Shui Lianhua who appeared here said something sour. Why are you still here? Su Shen glanced at this woman in surprise. This woman likes to fight fire, doesn't she? We're going to Tianan province as well. Hua Yuk at the side explained with a smile. Su Shen pondered for a while, then looked at Yang Su, Jin Shisen, and at the 12th senior brother and others from the Alchemy Society, and then asked in a deep voice, how do you know? Your Majesty has announced to the world, who doesn't know now? Xia Hongzu, Xia Weishuan, Xia Weijin, Xia Hongyu, and Xia Honghua, 5 stunning princesses, have all been betrothed to the champion by His Majesty. It's really an enviable wall separation. Li Cheng, a second-year brother, gave a strange laugh and winked at Su Shen. His eyes seemed to be saying, well, you Su Shen, you have deceived everyone, you obviously don't want to get married, but you secretly married 5 people and shocked everyone. Su Shen fell silent upon hearing this. This is over, I thought I could keep it a secret for 3 years. He coughed lightly, wanted to say something, but suddenly stopped. Never mind, too lazy to quibble. As the flight booked, he got down to business and asked a question. There is no need to book a plane ticket, there is a special plane. Jin 12 replied with a strange expression, hasn't this guy realized what his champion who stands for, and he still needs to book a plane ticket? Then let's go back to Tianan province. Su Shin waved his hand. Then he pulled Jin 12 aside, and said with a serious face, this time I'm going back to Tianan province, I want to create a magic guild, only the magic guild of Dragon Slayer. Jin 120,000 was very surprised, and said, although the magic formula you gave is true, other people should not be able to learn dragon slaying magic like you, right? Su Shin nodded heavily, and said, that's right, no one else has learned dragon slaying magic through magic formulas. The main purpose of my announcement of magic formulas is to screen. If someone responds according to the formula of dragon slaying magic, it means that their physique is suitable for dragon slayer magic to a certain extent. Although he can't learn it by himself, Su Shin can mass-produce the acquired Dragon Slayer Mage through the Dragon Slayer Magic Crystal. Although it is not perfect, its combat power is definitely much stronger than ordinary special magic. As for whether to raise a white-eyed wolf, Su Shin naturally has some considerations. If you want to transplant the Dragon Slayer Magic Crystal, you must sign a magic contract with Su Shin that you will never betray. Speaking of which, Su Shin took out a magic crystal from the interspatial ring, and said, this dragon-slaying magic crystal can allow others to acquire dragon-slaying magic, but it is only a test product at present. I need someone to test it. I see. Jin 12 took a deep breath. It turned out that Su Shin's disclosure of dragon-slaying magic had such a plan. The details of the guild still need to be further discussed. At the moment, the group packed up briefly, then went to the Imperial Capital Airport, took a special plane, and flew back to Tianan province. It is not known who leaked the news. When Su Shin arrived at Tianan Airport, crowds surrounded the entire airport, warmly welcoming champion Hu Su Shin. The Duke of Tianan, Nangong Long, even set up a banquet at the Duke's mansion tonight, and at that time, prominent figures from the entire Tianan province will be there. And the protagonist of tonight's banquet will undoubtedly be Su Shin. As for the champion Hu mansion, construction has already begun, and Su Shin will be able to move in after the completion of the project, which is expected to take about a month or so. That night, the hall of Tianan Duke's mansion. Champion Hu, congratulations, a little care is not enough to pay respect, and I hope that Champion Hu will not refuse. A middle-aged man handed a space ring in his hand to Su Shin, smiling all over his face. This is the head of the Zhang family of the Tianan City Mage family, but the strength of an 8th rank mage. But it seems that the 8th level mage doesn't have much weight in front of Su Shin now. There were too many gift givers, Su Shin was exhausted, and everyone had a space ring as a gift, and Su Shin had no idea how many Matryoshka dolls were put in Su Shin's space ring. Thank you, Master Zhang. Su Shin cupped his fists and thanked him with a smile. He will definitely accept these gifts, after all, whoring for nothing makes me happy. But there is an exception. That is the Chen family. If Chen Chengfeng had gone his own way to find trouble with Su Shin alone, then Su Shin would not have hated the Chen family behind him because of a small character, but the other party also brought 2 6th level mages with him, then 877 showed that the senior members of the Chen family knew about it. So he didn't give the Chen family any face, so he rejected the gift from the Chen family in public. The strongest member of the Chen family is only a 9th rank mage, and it won't be long before Su Shin cleans up the Chen family. Everyone was happy tonight, only the representative of the Chen family brought back the bad news with a gloomy face. After drinking 3 rounds, Su Shin returned to the students' villa at the school and began to count the value of the gifts. The person who gave the gift has naturally done research, because most of them are magic resources of element spar. Because there are too many presents. According to Su Shin's initial estimate, the total value of these magical resources has reached an astonishing 50 billion or so. That is to say, Su Shin now has magic power resources worth hundreds of billions in his body, and he will not need to worry about magic power resources for a long time to come. Younger sister Yang Su is also helping to count the gifts, and the piles are piled up. But her little face was expressionless, and she didn't know what she was thinking. Are you still angry? Su Shin asked with a smile. What is this girl doing with him? Isn't it just 5 sister-in-laws? Most of the dignitaries from Tianan province who came to the banquet today brought their beautiful daughters. It is estimated that if Su Xin can marry 5, he can marry 50. I do not want to talk to you. Yang Su snorted softly, turned around and went back to his bedroom. Su Xin glanced helplessly at his sister, and then took back the magic resource in front of him into the space ring. Now I have so many magic power resources on my body. The next period of time will definitely be a retreat. But tonight, let's rest. At the banquet in the Duke's mansion, Su Xin drank a lot of wine, and those were not ordinary drinks. Night. Su Xin was lying on the bed in her bedroom, sleeping with her big characters lying open. Suddenly, Su Xin felt something pressing on him, and opened his eyes involuntarily. When he opened his eyes, he happened to see a delicately carved face of a little girl approaching his eyes. Su Xin was startled, and almost subconsciously slapped him. Teacher Ji Yu. He slowly got up, looked at the little girl in front of him, and frowned slightly. Yes, the person who sneaked into his bedroom in the middle of the night was none other than Ji Yu Mengmeng, the consultant teacher of the Alchemy Society. Did it scare you? Ji Yu Mengmeng laughed, but the expression on her face was no longer that of a child before, but more of an adult's melancholy. Teacher Ji Yu is looking for me in the middle of the night, maybe there is something wrong. Well, there are a few questions I want to ask you for confirmation. Ji Yu Mengmeng nodded. Hearing this, Su Xin looked around the room. Don't worry, there is a 9th level mage who is secretly protecting you. It should be sent by the Emperor of the Kyushu Empire. It took a lot of effort to hide it from him. Ji Yu Mengmeng seemed to see through Su Xin's mind. The Dog Emperor sent someone to protect me. Su Xin was both surprised and normal. While protecting, it should also be monitored along the way. But having said that, the gap between myself and the 9th level Transcendent Master is still very large, and I don't even notice that there are 9th level Transcendent Masters around. Closer to home, Su Xin looked at Ji Yu Mengmeng, and asked, Teacher Ji Yu, if you have any questions, just ask them directly. Students will know everything they know. Well, Xiao Xingxin is really good, people like Xiao Xingxin the most. Don't be such a disgusting reduplicate please. Just as Lolita gave Su Xin a white look, she then asked sternly. Ahem, then the first question, does Xiao Xingxin's dragon-slaying magic come from the plane of the gods? Su Xin couldn't help being surprised, the plane of the gods. This noun sounds very unusual. The location of the god realm refers to a certain force, or a certain planet. Su Xin asked for confirmation. It is a higher plane. The plane we are in now is the lowest plane. There are countless planes like this. If you become a magician on a low plane, you will be rejected by the low plane. They will also be guided by the plane of the gods to enter the plane of the gods. In the words of the Kyushu Empire, once they become a magician, they will ascend to a higher plane of the gods. Listening to Ji Yu Mengmeng's words, Su Xin didn't blink her eyes. Xiao Xingxin, aren't you surprised? When Jin 12 just learned about the plane of the god realm, his expression was very exciting. On the contrary, it was Su Xin's calm reaction that made Ji Yu Mengmeng a little confused. Ha ha, Su Xin gave a dry laugh. He didn't know how many novels on cultivating immortals he had read, and he wasn't really surprised to say that there are higher-level worlds, such as the fairy world and the spiritual world, that can ascend. It's no wonder that there are no divine mages anywhere in the world. It turns out that they have ascended to the plane of the god realm. Su Xin sighed with emotion. The life of the divine mage is endless, and he has never heard of the legend of the fall of the divine mage. It turns out that after becoming a divine mage, he yo-yoed from a low-level plane. But this is why Ji Yu Mengmeng came to her at night to tell herself about the plane of the gods. Seeing a flash of white light in Su Xin's mind, he woke up suddenly, and asked cautiously, could it be that Mr. Ji Yu is from the plane of the gods? The boss is reborn. Xiao Xingxin's idea is really unconstrained. You guessed half right, I am not from the plane of the gods, I am from the plane of the abyss. Ji Yu Mengmeng stroked her chin with her little finger, and replied with a lovely expression. So, the 12th senior brother is the ghost who was instigated by Mr. Ji Yu. Su Xin was shocked in his heart, but he looked normal on the surface. By the way, he also made insinuations about Jin 12's real situation. Ji Yu Mengmeng knocked on Su Xin's head angrily, and said in dissatisfaction, your head is full of conspiracies. Second question, have you refined your godhead? What kind of questions are you asking? Can you speak human words? Su Shin was getting impatient. What was the other person asking? What kind of godhead? Well, the godhead is what a mage condenses after stepping into the god rank. Generally, it is the embodiment of the power of law. If a holy mage refines the godhead, he will become a god immediately. But relatively, the strength of the god mage who refines the godhead, it will only stay at the strength corresponding to the godhead it refines, and it will never be improved, but it can still live forever. Actually, you don't have to be a holy mage to be qualified to refine the godhead, and there are some special ones. I think you are special, Xiao Xingxin, so I came to verify it. Su Shin fell silent. The emperor of the Kyushu Empire has the aura of a godhead. Maybe he is already condensing his own godhead, or it may be the godhead left behind after the fall of the refining god mage. God is not far away. The plane of the abyss is also a high-level plane. The overall strength may be weaker than the plane of the gods, but it is not much different. As for why I appear in the low-level plane from the plane of the abyss, the reason is very simple: escape from pursuit. Su Shin pouted. Well, I'm listening, let's continue. The plane of the abyss is special. It will spontaneously assimilate the low-level planes. It will be a disaster for ordinary creatures on the low-level planes, but for mages, especially saints who have stepped into the threshold of the law for mages, it is a rare opportunity. Because it is too difficult to become a god in the environment of low-level planes with good money. Even if some so-called cultivation geniuses in the god realm are placed on the low-level planes, it is difficult to become a god before their lifespan is exhausted. But once the low-level plane is assimilated by the abyss plane, the difficulty of becoming a god will be greatly reduced. Now the plane channel between the abyss plane and the low-level plane you are in has gradually stabilized, so the next few years will be very unstable. The more Ji Yu Mengmeng talked, the more dignified her expression became. Su Shin said, "It's my turn to ask questions. First question, why did you specifically tell me this? I don't want to die, I want to find someone who can protect me. I have contacted the emperor of the Kyushu Empire, but he refused. Second question, what is your strength? Equivalent to a holy mage. Very good and promising. A holy mage came to him, a little 7th level mage hugged his thigh. He was about to swell on the spot. Su Shin didn't ask any further questions, and let Ji Yu Mengmeng leave in advance. Early the next morning, Su Shin came to the basement room of the Alchemy Society. Apart from him, there were Ji Yu Mengmeng and Jin Shire in the room. Jin 12 said apologetically at this moment, "When Yao Xie cast the abyss magic before, I wanted to tell you about the abyss plane, but because I was in a competition at the time, I didn't want to distract you, so I dragged it down." Su Shin didn't care, and asked backhandedly, "What will happen once the plane we are in is assimilated by the advanced abyss plane?" Ji Yu Mengmeng hurriedly replied, "Even if you become a magician, you will not be able to ascend to the god realm. And, the god-level existence in the abyss plane can also enter the assimilated low-level plane without restriction. There should be an abyss lord who will come and list this low-level plane as his territory. For ordinary people, they cannot withstand the magic power of the abyss and will be transformed into abyssal creatures, and only a very small number of them may still maintain their sanity. But for mages, once they bear the magic power of the abyss, the difficulty of becoming a god will be greatly reduced." Su Shin added. Ji Yu Mengmeng nodded. The number of low-level planes 957 assimilated by the abyss plane is too many, and the low-level planes are equivalent to countless parallel worlds, so there are also human races in the abyss plane, but it is a human race, it is better to say it is a demon race, more appropriate. In addition, the ranks in the abyss plane are extremely strict, and they pay attention to bloodlines. I heard from Ji Yu Mengmeng that an existence with top bloodlines in the abyss plane can become a god in a few years. After becoming a god, there will naturally be a gap in strength, but Ji Yu Mengmeng feels that this is too far away from Su Shin, so she didn't mention it for the time being. Hearing what you said, it is irreversible for the plane we live in to be assimilated by the abyss plane. So what is there to resist? How about finding a powerful abyss lord and surrendering in advance? Su Shin said half jokingly and half seriously. Someone has already done this. That's how Yao Xie's abyss magic was taught, and the abyss lord behind Yao Xie wanted to hunt down and kill Mr. Ji Yu, called Lord Blood Yu. the descendant of an Abyss Lord, and now that Abyss Lord has all been defeated by the blood-secluded leader and fell. Jin 12 replied seriously, my boss BB has been wiped out, and I want to hunt and kill you. I'm afraid that my boss's wealth are all on you. Su Shin looked at Yu Mengmeng. Xiao Xingxin's head is really smart, that's right. Abyss Lords also have strength divisions. In the Abyss, there is no such thing as a God Mage. They are generally called demons. The lowest one is a 1-star demon, which is equivalent to an ordinary demon. God Mage. And my father is a 3-star demon, which is equivalent to the God of the gods. The Godhead of the demon is called the Heart of Power. My father's Heart of Power is in my hands now. As long as I choose a holy mage to refine this Heart of Power, I can immediately become a 3-star demon. Although it is impossible to advance to the next level, it is impossible in the Abyss Plane. It's the underdog. Yu Mengmeng took a deep breath and continued. The person I chose is Jin 12, but his growth rate is still slower. Having said that, Yu Mengmeng glanced at Su Shin. Don't look at me like that, it's impossible for me to refine the Heart of Power. Su Shin spread her hands. Just kidding, although he can become a strong person immediately, the price is that there is no possibility of improvement in the future. Su Shin is a fool to do this. Besides my father's Heart of Power, I also have many hearts of power of 1-star and 2-star demons in me. As long as the time is right, I can immediately form a group of powerful demons. Then the ending is not the same, and it can't compete with that Blood Lord, right? Yu Mengmeng's passion was suddenly extinguished by Su Shin's words. All of a sudden, Su Shin chatted to death. And this kind of showdown, you didn't just say it to me, you also said it to Emperor Qianyuan. Then he refused. Su Shin asked again. Yu Mengmeng nodded. The Emperor of the Kyushu Empire is indeed a character. He may be able to become a god in this low-level plane through his own ability. If he succeeds, even if he ascends to the god realm, he may become a big shot in the god realm in the future. But he is still very weak now. Once the passage between the Abyss Plane and the low-level plane here is completely stable, then Lord Bloodnether's subordinates will enter the low-level plane in advance and start preparing for the rule. Although before the assimilation, the Abyss Plane, the powerful demons on the lower plane cannot enter the low-level plane, but there are too many holy mages in the Abyss Plane. Yu Mengmeng then explained the power of Lord Blood Yu. Generally speaking, a 3-star demon lord in the Abyss Plane, the area under his command is almost the size of a galaxy, and the territory is calculated in light years. In addition, Lord Xueyu had swallowed the power of Yu Mengmeng's parents not long ago, and the overall strength has grown again. Even if there are no strong demons who can enter the low-level plane, once the passage between the two worlds is stabilized, Blue Star will be ruled as a certainty and will be crushed. After confirming the rule, the Blood Nether Lord will force the creatures on the Blue Star to undergo the magic transformation of the Abyss. At that time, billions of ordinary people should be reduced to low-level abyssal creatures who have lost their sanity. The low-level plane should be a universe. Can a 3-star demon eat it? Su Shin raised his doubts. You think too much. Low-level planes exist in chaos, and the low-level planes you are in are only limited to the solar system. The so-called Milky Way is just your own observation. You cannot leave the solar system. Outside is chaos. Once the plane is assimilated, the entire solar system will be transformed into land and become part of the Abyss Plane. Yu Mengmeng gave an explanation. My questions are over and I can begin. Su Shin spread her hands. Start what? You use Abyss magic to attack me. Be careful, I have a special body, so I should be able to quickly learn Abyss magic in this way. Su Shin replied. This is to prepare for the next dragon-slaying magic. Yu Mengmeng must have his own plans, but this has nothing to do with Su Shin. He is now a rookie compared to the high-level plane of the Abyss Plane, and it is king to seize the time to improve his strength. If you can become a god mage yourself before the assimilation of the planes, and then take the whole family to ascend to heaven, how can you care about the flood after the incident? It is good. Yu Mengmeng and Jin 12 looked at each other and agreed. At Su Shin's request, Yu Mengmeng began to cast Abyss magic to attack Su Shin. Su Shin naturally wants to brush the Abyss resistance. While receiving the attack, he suddenly asked with concern, how long will it take for the assimilation of the planes to end? Yu Mengmeng replied, at least 10,000 years, even hundreds of thousands of years. Su Xin. Good guy. What Gu Mengmeng said was so urgent that Su Xin thought that the two planes would assimilate after 3 years. But when the plane channel is completely stabilized, people here can also go to the abyss through the plane channel. Under the huge temptation of becoming a god, it is impossible for the mages on Blue Star's side to completely unite. That is to say, it was only a matter of time before Blue Star was occupied by Lord Shui Yu. Gu Mengmeng threw a dark red magic ball and hit Su Xin, added. Su Xin nodded and stopped discussing this topic. Instead, he asked Jin 12 how the establishment of the guild was progressing, and the latter replied that it was ready, waiting for Su Xin to name it. Su Xin thought for a while, and then used the word, Dragon God, as the name of the guild. After all, it is common sense that the boy who slays the dragon will eventually become a dragon. After one day, Su Xin's resistance to the abyss is already his highest resistance so far. He didn't continue. Although he was able to refresh the defense value, it was still a bit slow. Now that he has a huge resource of magic power in his hands, he naturally has to digest it eagerly, and wants to hit the 8th level mage rank in a short time. Senior Brother 12, you release the news that all mages who practice all the reactions according to my fire dragon slaying magic formula can come to my Dragon God Guild, and I will give them a surprise. Then, Su Xin confessed to Jin 12. There must be people who suspect that Su Xin not only masters the fire dragon slaying magic, a kind of dragon slaying magic. But these are not a problem. Now that Su Xin is in full swing, no force in the Kyushu Empire will dare to ignore Emperor Qianyuan's malicious intentions towards him. After he leaves the customs, he will be able to carry out the dragon slaying magic crystal experiment plan. So far, Su Xin returned to the students' villa and announced the retreat. At the beginning of the retreat, it is definitely necessary to increase the value of mental power first. The special magic potion worth about 30 billion mental power obtained from Xia Hongming's hands, Su Xin initially estimated that it can increase his mental power value by 50,000 to 80,000. A little less, some very expensive special magic potions, in fact, the effect is the same. And Su Xin has been taking these spiritual magic potions, which will gradually reduce the effect. This made Su Xin make up his mind that after this retreat, he would go out to harvest souls through talent, soul absorption. Finally, it was a little unexpected, it was higher than expected. Su Xin's mental power value increased by about 100,000, and his own mental power value reached nearly 140,000. This value of mental power also means that Su Xin's power and mana panel data can both reach 1.4 million. There are nearly 70 billion magic power resources, and there is no shortage. So, in the next period of time, Su Xin began to devour magic resources every day, day and night, repeating encyclically. From 10 hours a day, Su Xin began to increase to 19 hours. And with the increase in strength, the conversion efficiency of mana resources into their own panel values is also increasing. In the past 10 hours a day, the value of strength and magic power increased by about 10,000. But now with 15 hours a day, it can increase by about 25,000. A month later, this day, ding, congratulations to the host for getting the dragon slaying magic package, do you want to open it now? The system suddenly prompts, open. Su Xin was not surprised. He looked at his personal data panel, and it was level 8. Both strength and mana values have broken through the million mark. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining the Water Dragon Slayer magic and Abyss Dragon Slayer magic. However, the result of Dragon Slayer magic's blind box opening this time surprised Su Xin. Double yolk eggs. Double yolk eggs. Instead of getting 2 dragon slaying gift packs at once, 2 dragon slaying magics are unlocked in 1 dragon slaying gift pack. Su Xin was overjoyed. The joy in his heart was beyond words. His basic stats are here, and every additional dragon slaying magic he gets is a huge gain in terms of strength. There are 8 kinds. There are 8 kinds of dragon slaying magic on him. This also means that Su Xin's real mana will be 8 times that of the panel, 8 million. Although it is still impossible to call the magic power of heaven and earth, but even a small level mage can't call the magic power of no land with a value of less than 8 million. And it's far from over. Su Xin's promotion has not stopped yet. He did not choose to go out, but continued to retreat. A ratio of 110 between the value of spiritual power and the value of strength and mana is his own perfect balance. A mental value of 140,000 corresponds to 1.4 million 5 and magic value. Then came the half moon. Su Shin finally stopped practicing on this day, and he still has some mana resources, but he has already reached the current critical point. Opening the personal panel is like opening now. I am overjoyed. Host: Su Shin. Age: 18. Level: the 8th level lower mage. Strength: 1.45 million. Defense: 3 million. Mental power: 148,000. Magic value: 1.5 million. Has mastered magic, slightly. Master Dragon Slayer's adaptive power LV5, 890,000 1 millionths. Talents: magic power conversion, trials of trials, soul absorption, elementalization, magic fusion. Now Su Shin feels that with a light punch, combined with his own strength and mana, he can produce a nuclear explosion effect without opening the booster state. 0. After exceeding the value of 1 million. An unprecedented sense of strength welled up in his heart, making Su Shin firmly believe for the first time that he is a powerful mage who looks down on the world. With my current strength, I may not be afraid of the 9th level Transcendent Master. Su Shin said with emotion. Then continued to try magic fusion. As a result, he was speechless and choked. He already had nearly 150,000 spiritual power, but he still could infuse 3 different magic powers at once. However, there are also improvements. That is to use the 2 fusion methods to possess 2 fusion magic powers at the same time. However, the increase in combat power of the 2 fusion magic powers is not 20 times that of 10 plus 10, it is slightly lower. Su Shin did the math. Without the fusion of magic power, combined with the transformation of limbs into dragons, the multiplier of the 8 dragon slaying magics is 8 times that of the normal one. But if it is considered to be a fusion of magic power, then it will increase to 25 times at one time. In other words, Su Shin's current peak state is strengthening plus 25. With his basic panel value of more than 1 million, it would be an exaggerated situation to increase it by 25 times at one time. Recall 1 or 2. Traveling to this era, not even half a year, I have already stepped into the ranks of 8th level mages. There is only one feeling for Su Shin about this kind of fast-moving promotion speed. That's cool. Unparalleled cool. Going out this time, and going out to harvest a large number of monster souls, it will be a surge of spiritual power, and then come back to eat a wave of the treasury of the old father-in-law Emperor Qianyuan, and the rank of the 9th level mage will not be far away. On the same day, Su Shin walked out of the student's villa with a radiant face. Instead of rushing to the World of Warcraft immediately, he found Jin 12 and asked about the progress of the Dragon God Guild. The result did not disappoint Su Shin. As soon as the news spread about the Dragon God Guild founded by Champion Marquis, it immediately attracted the attention of the mages of the entire Kyushu Empire, coupled with Tian Nangong's deliberate derivation and Su Shin's popularity on the internet. The Dragon God Guild has not yet officially accepted members of the guild, and its name has spread throughout the Kyushu Empire. In addition, Kindaji reminded Su Shin to visit his Champion Hufu. It turned out that the Champion Hu mansion had been completed half a month ago, and Su Shin's adoptive parents and younger sister Yang Su had also moved in. Family reunion. Su Shin sighed in his heart, although his retreat time is short, but the time to get together with his family is indeed very limited. No, he immediately went to Champion Hu's mansion. In front of the gate of the 693 resplendent mansion, there is a gilded plaque with the 4 characters, Champion Marquis Mansion, written on it, which was written by Emperor Qianyuan himself. Su Shin stared at the plaque for a long time, feeling that Emperor Qianyuan's calligraphy is really amazing. This subordinate has seen Lord Hu. In front of the gate, there were 2 guards in military uniforms. When they saw Su Shin, they immediately clasped their fists and saluted. When Su Shin was about to reply, but he saw a figure coming out of the gate. What are you doing here? Su Shin was startled. This figure was Sha Honghua, one of his 5 cheap wives, the daughter of Prince Mu, Princess Yuha, with a hotter personality than his own sister Yang Su. Sha Honghua glanced at Su Shin, pretended not to see her, and walked past Su Shin to leave. Yeah, Su Shin frowned. Although she was not married yet, but Sha Honghua was already one of the champion misses who, how could she ignore him like this? What's the situation? Su Shin asked the guards. The guard replied respectfully. Reporting to Lord Hu, when the Hu mansion was completed, the 5 wives followed His Majesty's instructions and began to move into the Hu mansion. Su Shin felt a little dazed when he heard this. Unmarried cohabitation, right? He didn't care too much. After all, although he didn't hate the 5 princesses, he couldn't be bothered to lick them. Coupled with the fact that my current focus is not on women, it will not be too late to revitalize my husband when I have the opportunity in the future. Into the Hu mansion, Su Shin began to wander around Nuoda's Hu mansion. During the period, he saw his aunt Yan Lan was arranging flowers and making tea with one of his wives, Sha Weishuan, and they got along very well. I also saw Sha Weijin, the #1 beauty in Kyushu, deducing the magic formula by herself in the backyard. Sha Hongming's younger sister, Sha Hongyu, was playing with her own younger sister, Yang Su, in another courtyard. There is also Sha Hongzu, who has a cold temper, who is reprimanding a maid who made mistakes. When she saw Su Shin, she just snorted softly and didn't have much reaction. Su Shin vaguely felt something was wrong. It seems that the harem is not harmonious, the 5 wives are doing their own things, and there is no sisterly love. It's more like Ku Chi, deliberately treating him as a transparent person. At this time, Su Shin was in the courtyard where Yang Su was. Sha Hongyu turned her head to the side, absent-minded, pretending not to see Su Shin. Brother, how are you? Yang Su's mentality has adjusted well, and he doesn't feel so jealous anymore. Well, for more than a month, nothing major happened, right? Su Shin asked in a dignified manner as the head of the family. It seems that the 4 empires formed an imperial coalition to go to the gods' abandoned continent, saying to the outside world that they want to open up the unknown and mysterious gods' abandoned continent. And my dad has been promoted, and now he is the deputy head of the 9th Army of the Tian'an City Guards. As for the position, it is a position of real power. Yang Su counted his fingers and reported the changes during this time to his old palace. God's abandoned continent, it should be the plane channel interface between the Abyss Plane and the Blue Star Plane. Don't the 4 empires want to sit and wait for death before taking action? Sha Hongyu, you didn't react when you saw me. Do you still have my husband in your eyes? Suddenly, Su Shin raised his eyebrows, looked at Sha Hongyu, and scolded. Slightly, Sha Hongyu made a face at Su Shin. Seeing her like this, Su Shin was about to say something to scare her tonight when she saw a guard coming to report. Master Hu, your classmate asked to see her. She said her name is Zhang Yuwei, and she came to discuss the dragon-slaying magic. Let her come. Zhang Yuwei. This girl, Su Shin, has a lot of impressions. Her fighting style is very similar to that of a dragon mage. Shortly after, Zhang Yuwei came down to the backyard led by the guards. She first saluted Su Shin and Sha Hongyu, and then said excitedly, "Young champion, I really want to feel that I can create the magic of thunder and dragon slaying." Su Shin, has this girl always been this confident? But having said that, Zhang Yuwei created the thunder magic, thunder armor when she was a 3rd-tier mage. Maybe she really has a unique talent in creating magic moves. But no matter how talented one is, it is impossible to create dragon-slaying magic. After all, dragon-slaying magic is a fantasy product of another era, without any theoretical basis. Tell me the story. Su Shin pondered. Sha Hongyu and Yang Su at the side also listened attentively. Immediately afterwards, Zhang Yuwei began to show. Based on the fire dragon-slaying magic formula, she created another lightning magic formula, which is not yet complete. The main manifestation of this magic is in close combat. Unfortunately, Su Shin couldn't see that Zhang Yuwei's thunder magic power was fused with the physical body, it was just superficial. Her thunder magic power attached to the surface of the skin will indeed greatly improve the physical ability, but it is still very different from the Dragon Slayer magic. No, this is not the dragon slaying method. Su Shin did not encourage the other party, but poured a basin of cold water. After Zhang Yuwei heard it, she opened her mouth, and then lowered her head. But if you want to master dragon slaying magic, I can help you, but whether you can succeed or not depends on yourself. Su Shin hesitated for a while, but still spoke. Brother, you. Yang Su was shocked. Her Gigi hadn't helped her master the fire dragon slaying magic yet, so she couldn't wait to help others, or was she a woman? For a while, Yang Su's expression was greatly shocked. He looked at Zhang Yue, who looked surprised, and wondered in his heart whether this sassy girl with a ponytail was the person his big brother had mentioned before. You are so partial. Sha Hongyu was also dissatisfied. She ran away angrily. Su believed that she was playing a trick to make him chase her, but she didn't expect that after a while, she brought the other 4 wives, and even Sha Honghua, who had just left the house, rushed back with a displeased face when she heard the news. Yo, are you going to marry the 6th one? Sha Honghua had a single-minded personality, which was not pleasing, but she still made fun of it. The surprise on Zhang Yue's face slowly faded away, as if she realized that she seemed to be the target of public criticism. Ignore them, let's go into the house and talk. Su Xin gave a strange laugh and motioned for Zhang Yue to follow her into the house. Younger sister Yang Su, he will naturally explain later. As for these 5 cheap wives, if they dare to give Su Xin a bad face, if they don't suppress them for a while, won't they be turned upside down at home in the future? Zhang Yue was secretly delighted. She didn't expect Su Xin to value her so much. Sister Yang Su, who was that girl just now? 5 cheap wives gathered together, but the dignified and bright Sha Weishuan asked Yang Su a question. It's a freshman first-level student of Tianan University, named Zhang Yue, who was beaten up by my brother in the Tianan Master examination. My brother briefly mentioned her in front of me before, saying that she is very talented or something. Yang Su blinked, then replied like this. Sha Weishuan's 5 daughters had different expressions after hearing this. Is he going to prostitute in the daytime? Or in front of our 5 wives who haven't married yet? After a while of silence, Sha Honghua's face became more and more angry. She really wanted to push the door open and see what Su Xin and Zhang Yue were doing in the room. Among the 5 princesses who could be selected by Emperor Qianyuan, some of them may have a spicy personality, but they will definitely not be without brains. Su Xin just came out of retreat, and the 5 of them agreed to ignore Su Xin together, and that's all. But if we just push the door open now, then we will not take Su Xin seriously in actual actions, and the nature will be completely different. So even though Sha Honghua, the fiery princess, was annoyed at the moment, she didn't dare to open the door directly. For a while, the scene inside the room was unclear, but the scene outside was awkward. It was the younger sister Yang Su who had an idea and called her Aunt Yan Lan over. My aunt was also in a daze. Su Xin is not only her adopted son, but also the strongest genius mage in this era, not one of them, and the champion bestowed by Emperor Qianyuan himself, that is the Marquis of the Empire. Aunt doesn't even dare to open the door. In my opinion, Su Xin is not that kind of person. There must be something important to discuss in there. Or you can ask her after he comes out. After some psychological struggle, my aunt made a very conscientious choice. Mom, Yang Su is extremely angry. She knew that even if her aunt rushed into the room, Su Xin would not lose her temper with her. In no way. Yang Su finally called his younger sister Yang Ya over. The cauldron, I want to see the cauldron. Little Lolita Yang Ya hasn't seen her cauldron for a long time, and she misses it so much. Now that she was told that the cauldron is in the room in front of her, she didn't care about anything else, so she rushed into the room with her short legs. As soon as she entered, the door was closed, and the girls didn't even have time to see the situation inside. Inside the room, Su Xin picked up his younger sister Yang Ya, put her on his neck and let the girl play with his hair, then looked at Zhang Yue seriously and said, think about it, the dragon-slaying magic crystal I'm talking about is mine. I'm not 100% sure yet, so I can't say what the sequelae will be. But if you succeed, then you will become the Mage of Lightning Destroyer. Although it is not natural, it is much stronger than ordinary mages. I believe in the champion. Zhang Yue took a deep breath, and immediately wrote her name on the magic contract in front of her with blood. The main content of this magic contract is not to betray the Dragon God Guild. Other than that, the other degrees of freedom are extremely high. Zhang Yue can also seek benefits for her family under the condition that the interests of the Dragon God Association and her family do not conflict. And there is no mandatory requirement to do something. In that case, let's get started. Without hesitation, Su Xin stretched out his right hand, the magic power gathered in his palm, and a magic crystal sparkling with lightning began to condense into shape. The Dragon Slayer magic crystal you said was created by yourself. Seeing this scene, Zhang Yuwei's beautiful eyes were filled with shock. She seemed to realize something. If he succeeds, doesn't that mean that Su Xin can mass-produce the acquired Dragon Slayer? Shish, keep this a secret. Su Xin chuckled lightly. Then grabbed Zhang Yuwei's right arm, and transplanted the Dragon Slayer of Thunder into her right arm. You can go back today. If you succeed, the magic power of the thunder element in your whole body will automatically start to fuse with your body. The most iconic point is that you can directly swallow the thunder magic. Thinking that the dragon-slaying magic crystal didn't work immediately, Su Xin asked Zhang Yuwei to go home and observe for a while before seeing the result. I feel like I'm responding now. However, Zhang Yuwei's appearance at the moment is extremely abnormal. The magic power of the thunder element in her body spilled out of her body uncontrollably, and then gathered towards the dragon-killing magic crystal in her right arm. In an instant, Zhang Yuwei is like pouring thunder and lightning, and there are thunder arcs all over her body. Su Xin took a step back, feeling surprised in his heart. Could it be that this girl is really the type that is very suitable for dragon-slaying magic? Or is it that his Dragon Slayer magic crystal is a failure and is showing a powerful side effect at the moment? The two cannot be distinguished at present, so Su Xin had to stand aside and observe patiently. Zhang Yuwei's pretty face looked a little hideous because of the pain, and she would let out a cry of pain and a little moan from time to time. This process lasted for over an hour. Thunderbolt. I saw Su Xin flicked his fingers, and there was a thumb-sized thunderball in his hand, but it was only at the level of first-order magic. He handed the thunderball to Zhang Yuwei, motioning her to eat it. If Zhang Yuwei can't absorb the magic power of the thunder element through the method of swallowing, it means failure, and Su Xin will also control her magic power so as not to hurt her. But if you can, that's a success. Ah woo. Zhang Yuwei swallowed the thunderball in one gulp. The moment she swallowed the thunderball, both she and Su Xin showed expressions of surprise. Follow me. Roar of the Brontosaurus. Su Xin gave a low snort. It directly demonstrated the thunder dragon's roar, and with a bang, the thunder and lightning beams sprayed out of the room, causing the girls outside to scream again and again. The door broke open, and they finally saw the scene inside clearly. I saw Zhang Yuwei's cheeks puffed up, and she opened her mouth immediately, and the same cluster of lightning beams sprayed out, although the power was not great, but the momentum was scary enough. Certainly, Zhang Yuwei's ability to master Thunder Dragon's roar so quickly is not due to her own talent, but Su Xin's Dragon Slayer magic crystal. Su Xin's dragon-slaying magic crystal contains not only magic power, but also dragon-slaying magic moves, magic formulas. But now that she is able to use the gourd painting in a decent manner in a short period of time, I have to say that this ponytail girl is really talented in dragon-slaying magic. This actually gave Su Xin a headache. After all, a single example cannot be used as a reference. Zhang Yuwei's suitability for dragon-slaying magic is not suitable for everyone, at least not for her younger sister Yang Su. Even if it is done in the same way, whether Yang Su can master the dragon-slaying magic is up to two people. Was that just Dragon Slayer magic? Is this girl really mastering dragon slaying magic? Did Su Xin teach her, or did she master it herself? Is he still our husband, not teaching us, teaching other women? The expressions of the 5 cheap wives changed drastically, and several of them couldn't help complaining bitterly and dissatisfied. Want to learn dragon slaying magic? Come to my room at night. Su Xin looked at the 5 girls and gave a strange smile. He can basically be sure now that even if the dragon-slaying magic crystal fails, it should not have any impact on the future of other mages, so he can try it. The 5 princess wives didn't buy Su Xin's words. After giving Su Xin a bad look, they left. Su Xin didn't care about it, but thought it was a little fun. He then asked Zhang Yuwei to go back and get used to the dragon-slaying magic first, and also asked her not to announce that she had mastered the Dragon Slayer magic for the time being. And then, that is to explain to the silly sister Yang Su why Zhang Yuwei was allowed to master the magic of dragon slaying. Yang Su was greatly moved when he heard this. It turned out that the big brother was just doing experiments on other people in order to make himself 100% master the magic of dragon slaying. For a moment, she had mixed feelings in her heart, and felt ashamed for thinking that Big Brother was an SP just now. That night, none of the 5 cheap wives sneaked into Su Shin's room. But what's funny is that they didn't stay in their own room, but, lurking, outside Su Shin's room, presumably wanting to see which shameless person will enter Su Shin's room tonight. Nothing to say all night. Early the next morning, Su Shin went to Tian'an University again to find Jin Shire, briefly told him 1 or 2 things about Zhang Yue's success, and then told him to start looking for trustworthy guild members for the Dragon God Guild. Originally, this morning I still want to give that Tsunere girl Jin Shisen a try to see if she can master the Iron Dragon Slayer magic like Zhang Yue, but Jin Shisen is currently retreating to attack the 4th Order Mage, so this matter can only be delayed temporarily. Afterwards, Su Shin stopped by the university's Narcissus Club to visit class leader Liang Yun. Liang Yun's growth rate was not bad, but it was compared to ordinary mages, and it was still a lot worse than genius mages. Seeing that she is only a 3rd-tier mage, Su Shin also temporarily dismissed the idea of letting her transplant the Water Dragon Slayer magic crystal, and just chatted with her about some homework. After these things are done, Su Shin immediately left Tian'an province and went to the world of Warcraft again. No one would dislike the rapid improvement of their own strength. The special potion for improving mental power can greatly increase Su Shin's mental power, but it is still far behind talent, soul drain. This time I went to the world of Warcraft. Su Shin didn't plan to come back if he didn't increase his spiritual power by hundreds of thousands. After Gu Mengmeng pointed out, knowing that Emperor Qianyuan sent someone to protect him secretly. But now that he is not what he used to be, the power of the Kyushu Empire may not have any thoughts about him, but it is hard to guarantee that the power of other countries will have malicious intentions, so he made a simple concealment method. Su Shin is very confident in her own strength now. As long as the Holy Mage doesn't come to him, he won't be afraid of any 9th-level Transcendent Master. Rumble. A plane gallops from Tian'an Airport. At the airport, a staff member looked up at the plane that was gradually disappearing from sight, took out the phone from the mage bag, dialed and said, "It can be confirmed that Su Shin just left Tian'an City by plane. According to the flight, it should be ready to go to World of Warcraft K." After finishing speaking, he hung up the phone without waiting for the other party to reply. Su Shin is absolutely safe in the territory of Kyushu, and in Tian'an City, there is Tian'angang Nanganglong, the Holy Mage. But once he leaves the territory of Kyushu, he will not appear so fearful to other malicious people. A few days later, a corner of Warcraft continent. An ordinary-looking young man appeared here. The young man is Su Shin. His appearance has been greatly changed. He used the flesh and blood restructuring magic of the abyss to slightly change his facial features. Otherwise, with Su Shin's popularity, even in the world of Warcraft, he would be recognized at a glance. Time is not wasted. Su Shin didn't want to waste too much time simply hunting monsters, so he immediately started looking for monsters to hunt and absorb souls. In the port city of Warcraft Continent 36, in a hotel room. In the room, there were 3 people, all of whom were 9th-level Transcendent Great Mages. Sitting on the sofa was an old man with no brows and a hooked nose. His eyes looked particularly sinister. Beside the old man stood a young man wearing blood-colored gloves, with a slight smile on his face. The last person was wearing a loose mage's black robe. The whole person was covered by the black robe, and his face could not be seen clearly. 3 people, is that enough? If it's just to deal with Su Shin alone, then any one of us is enough, but don't forget, Emperor Qianyuan attaches so much importance to Su Shin, it's impossible not to send someone to protect him secretly, and maybe even not. It's one person. The eyebrowless old man spoke first, and then added. If there is really only one person, it can only mean that the person's strength is really strong even in the 9th rank, and it is very likely that he is the confidant shadow cultivated by Emperor Qianyuan. Obviously, the 3 9th-level Transcendent Masters did not take Su Shin seriously. This is normal. After all, the elite competition has only been over a month. Even Emperor Qianyuan probably couldn't have imagined that Su Shin at that time had enough combat power to dare to head-to-head with the 9th-level Transcendent Master. It's not just that, our netherworld is already engaged in assassination business. This time it's even more difficult to capture Su Shin alive. That's because Su Shin is too special, and his dragon-slaying magic is of great interest to even those big shots in the Abyss Plane. Quote. Okay, let's start to act. According to normal times, the three of us may really miss, but this time we are helped by the abyssal treasure from the abyss plane. The youth wearing the blood-colored gloves gave a small laugh, and then took out a mirror from the space ring. This mirror is blood-colored, and the frame looks like the fangs of a wild beast. Mirror of the abyss, where is Su Shin now? The young man looked in the mirror and began to ask questions. After all, he even cut his own wrist and let the blood flow into the mirror. It wasn't until the face of the 9th level transcendent great mage turned pale that a picture appeared in the mirror. Screen. It is Su Shin who has disguised his appearance and is hunting monsters. Sure enough, I made some disguises, but that's it. The eyebrowless old man laughed a little, especially when he saw Su Shin hunting some low-level monsters. He felt even more speechless. Mirror of the Abyss. How many Transcendent Masters by Li Jiao protect Su Shin? This time, the 9th level Transcendent Master in black robes asked. His voice was like a grinding disc, and it was very unpleasant to hear. He also scratched his wrist, and exchanged the price of blood for the answer from the Mirror of the Abyss. The answer was 1. The black robe immediately said, "That's easy, Shuidu and Wumei, you two are responsible for holding down the 9th step that protects Su Shin, and Su Shin will leave it to me." Is this arrangement a bit inappropriate? After all, He Ming, your strength is the strongest among the three of us. Shui too couldn't help but have some doubts when he heard this. That's why I was asked to do it. Su Shin must have some life-saving means. The Mirror of the Abyss can only ask 3 questions in a period of time. The remaining 10 should be reserved for emergencies. It's useless to talk, let's do it. If you succeed this time, with the help of the Abyss Plane, you and I can step into the rank of Holy Mage in a short time. Back to Su Shin. He just killed a group of low-level monsters that live in groups. The number is about 500. Through talent, soul drain, Su Shin can get more than 10,000 mental power at once. Compared with taking special potions to enhance mental strength, this method is far more effective than the former, except that it is time-consuming. But it should be noted that there are holy monsters in the World of Warcraft continent. If Su Shin makes too much noise, there is a certain possibility that he will attract the hatred of the holy monsters. Although this possibility is extremely low, Su Shin still has to be careful. After all, the holy rank has touched the threshold of the law, and the combat power of the 9th rank Transcendent Master is not a little bit higher. In the entire Blue Star Plane, counting holy rank monsters, the number of holy rank monsters will not exceed 100. Su Shin. Danger is coming. Just when Su Shin had just finished draining his soul, an urgent reminder suddenly sounded in his ear. It was the 9th level Transcendent Master who secretly protected him through magic sound transmission. As predicted, as soon as the reminder ended, the surroundings plunged into boundless darkness. Su Shin only heard an indifferent voice hovering around. Transcendence magic hyphenation point eternal darkness. In an instant, Su Shin is in a special barrier, and all information from the outside world is completely cut off. In the boundless darkness, He Ming dressed in a black robe appeared in front of Su Shin, and said in a cold tone, "Su Shin, it's not easy to miss your talent, you can choose. Who is it, who is so eager to persecute me?" Su Shin snorted coldly. "I think you don't take my father-in-law Emperor Qianyuan seriously." He wasn't nervous, and he was even able to joke and joke. Blue Star is undergoing a major change that is hard to come by in tens of thousands of years. The times will change completely. If Emperor Qianyuan can't turn the situation around, what is there to be afraid of? He Ming, on the contrary, replied seriously. Su Shin responded with his ordinary punch. I saw Su Shin punch out. The tip of the fist was covered with lightning and flames, and it erupted with heat, like a volcanic eruption. The power of the fist was surging, and the power of thunder and fire raged around, but in an instant, the power of Su Shin's punch, which was enough to instantly kill an 8th level mage, was suddenly dissipated into invisible, nothing left. Although stepping into the holy rank is considered to be stepping into the threshold of comprehending the law, but the 9th level transcendent magic already has a trace of the charm of the law, and its power is already extraordinary. And the focus of transcendental magic is also different according to the type of magic. Elemental magic such as thunder and fire are pure magic bombardment, and the power and momentum are extremely shocking. And the transcendent magic -point darkness of eternal calamity cast by Heiming doesn't focus on power, but it has some unspeakable rules. That is to say, now Su Shin is like a battle of beasts. Gun. Su Shin's brain turned rapidly, and he did not choose to face this special transcendental magic head-on, but directly took out the space-piercing spear bestowed by Emperor Qianyuan and threw it forward. Emperor Qianyuan actually gave you this treasure. Heiming was startled. The power and function of magic treasures cannot be ignored even by holy mages, let alone a 9th-level mage. However, with the magical power of your 7th-level mage, how powerful can you activate this treasure? Before Heiming could utter his next sentence, he saw his own dark curtain being torn open. Through that opening, one can clearly see that the 9th rank who secretly protects Su Wei is fighting endlessly with the other 2 9th rank killers from the Yushi underworld. Heiming, what did you do? Seeing that Heiming's 9th-level magic was broken, Shui Tu couldn't help but frown furiously. Tang Tang, a 9th-level mage, didn't win a 7th-level mage in an instant. Forget it. Transcendence magic assassination starfall. Heiming snorted again. He didn't want to change things if he didn't want to be late, and he wanted to make a quick decision. I saw that the 9th-level transcendent great mage was bathed in boundless darkness for an instant. He stood in place, like a black hole, absorbing all the light. And at the same time, above the sky, a super-large dark magic ball with a diameter of dozens of kilometers appeared at some unknown time, covering the sky and the sun. That is tens of kilometers in diameter. The surging dark magic power surging on it, if calculated by numerical value, is at least close to tens of millions. Su Shin's eyes were fixed, and his expression was unprecedentedly serious. Previously, his strength had improved so quickly that his self-confidence was inexplicably inflated. Now that he saw the magic of the 9th-level Transcendent Master with his own eyes, he knew that the 9th-level was more powerful than he imagined. Without any exaggeration, any 9th-level Transcendent Master, the transcendent magic they cast is enough to destroy a large city in an instant, and its power is definitely not weaker than a nuclear bomb whose explosion range exceeds thousands of square kilometers. Originally, Heiming thought that although Su Shin is a genius mage that is difficult for ordinary people to understand, after all, his rank is too low for him to use transcendental magic. But since Su Shin can take out the spear that pierces space, there is no guarantee that there will be other powerful treasures close by. This move is to force out all of Su Shin's whole cards, and even force out the shadow cards that are protecting him. Call. Su Shin looked up at the huge dark meteorite, without any hesitation in his eyes. Magic transformation. His current base mana value of 1.5 million, under the buffs of the 8 dragon slaying magics, totals 12 million total mana. At this moment, it is equally converted into 6 million mana for each of the 2 elements of thunder and fire. Then, fusion. At the moment of fusion, Su Shin's limbs began to transform into dragons. At this moment, his combat power reached 18 times, which was only 7 times away from the peak of 25 times. Dragon Slayer Mystery Change Lei Yanlong's collapse. Su Shin punched out, and the moves were simplified, seemingly ordinary. But at the moment when he punched out, the whole world was eclipsed, and Lei Yan's fusion of magic power seemed to become the master of the world at this moment. A huge fist wrapped in the flames of thunder flew out of the air, with an exaggerated length of thousands of meters. The fist looked down on the world, and instantly blasted the dark meteorite on the sky with a destructive force, and the power of the fist was still stirring the sky. If you look down on the blue star from space, then you can clearly see that Su Shin's punch has split the atmosphere on the entire planet's surface into 2 halves. And under the power of this fist, the powerful 9th-level Transcendent Master Heiming was instantly killed without any preparations. Shuitu and Wumei came to their senses at this moment, and felt that the hairs on their bodies stood on end, and an indescribable chill spread all over their bodies. Even the shadow of Emperor Qianyuan's confidant looked at Su Shin with a look of horror at this time. Who would have thought? This peerless genius who just won the first place in the elite competition 1.5 months ago, unexpectedly. He was able to instantly kill a 9th-level Transcendent Master. How on earth did he do it? This is no genius at all, this is simply a monster of monsters. Boom! The momentum of the explosion completely dissipated, and a shock wave covering thousands of square kilometers exploded in the sky. The roaring heaven and earth shook, at this moment, it seemed that even the entire Warcraft continent trembled. As this dead, not only the other 3 9th-level Transcendent Masters, but even Su Shin himself felt extremely shocked at this moment. He knew that his fusion magic power was very exaggerated for the improvement of combat power, but he never thought that it would be exaggerated to such a degree. At this time, Su Shin's complexion was extremely pale, and a weak breath visible to the naked eye lingered around his body. The punch just now, although not a 25-fold increase of his full strength, was also unbearable for his own consumption, and now Su Shin even found it difficult to stand firm. Su Shin quickly took out the magic crystal from the space ring that he had obtained in the tomb of the 9th-level mage. Su Shin has kept this magic crystal just in case she needs it. Now, the magic power in his body is almost exhausted, so Su Shin immediately grabbed the magic crystal and bit it off to replenish the magic power in time. At the same time, Su Shin also took advantage of the opportunity to use talent, Soul Drain, to absorb the scattered black souls scattered around, and his spiritual power is constantly increasing. This is the soul of the 9th-level Transcendent Great Mage. Even if it is not absorbed completely, the effect will definitely be beyond imagination. The move just now hollowed him out. Eat the magic crystal raw and restore the magic power in this way. Is this the Dragon Slayer magic? No wonder those guys from the Abyss Plane are interested in the Dragon Slayer magic. Shuetu and Wumei are very conflicted in their hearts at this moment. If this operation fails, then even if Su Shin will leave the territory of the Kyushu Empire next time, it is impossible for him to have only a 9th-level Transcendent Great Mage by his side. But Su Shin's display of combat power is so exaggerated. Their mission is to capture each other alive. Furthermore, the shadow cultivated by Emperor Qianyuan is one of the best among the supernatural masters. I can't help it, use that trick. Are you serious? That will cost us our birthday noodles. I can't control that much now. The Abyss Plane is now in the recruitment period. It is absolutely impossible to make a move to cross the river and tear down the bridge. As long as Su Shin is captured alive, you and I will step into the holy rank in the future. Do you care about the price of life? Quote. The 2 strong mages of the 9th rank from the Assassination Magic Guild, the underworld, looked at each other, and after communicating with each other, they finally made a decision. I saw Shuetu took out the mirror of Abyss in the space ring. He and Wumei both cut their palms and pressed them on the mirror of the Abyss. In an instant, from the mirror of the Abyss, a large amount of magic power of the Abyss emerged like a river breaking its embankment, and a strange and unpredictable dark red magic circle unfolded in the mirror of the Abyss. Su Shin, get out of here quickly. This is the ritual of summoning magic. The shadow was startled. The opponent's move is undoubtedly to summon a certain strong man who is far away through summoning magic. According to this battle, it is likely to be the existence of the Holy Order. Before Su Shin could react, the shadow came to Su Shin, took out a magic scroll, and then pulled it away. Space magic, turn to space. How precious is the magic scroll of space magic, which is equivalent to the space teleportation talisman in fantasy novels, allowing the affected person to teleport to a distant place instantly and escape from danger. Really, when the space magic unfolded, a wave of space wave immediately wrapped around Su Shin's body and was about to teleport him away. Senior, what about you? Seeing this, Su Shin couldn't help Coco Shadow. It doesn't matter, I have other means. Besides, I am not their target. As soon as you leave, they will immediately look for you. Remember, after the teleportation has left, you must find time to hide immediately. No, they can find you. There must be a way to locate your location. After you teleport away, immediately go to the territory of the Kyushu Empire, and His Majesty will definitely meet you as soon as possible. Shadow spoke very quickly, but soon realized that the other party might have a means of positioning, so he immediately changed his words and asked Su Shin to go to the territory of the Kyushu Empire in a short time. It is good. Su Shin is not a hypocritical person either, and nodded heavily. Voice just fell. Seeing the surrounding space turbulent, Su Shin was about to blend into the space and be teleported away. And at this moment, a light laugh sounded suddenly, speaking the words of the Abyss Plane. Oh, it's late. Boom. I saw the sky suddenly rolling, and a dark red giant arm that lifted the sky emerged from the void, and grabbed Su Shin's position with a palm. Where the giant arm passed, the space opened up layer by layer like the ground being crushed by a bulldozer. At this moment, he completely ignored the space distance, grabbed Su Shin, and crushed the space teleportation force around him. Well done, what I promised to you will not be spoken. Looking at the Shuedu 2 again, a humanoid monster with 2 horns first appeared at some time, with dark red skin, and his appearance as a handsome young man from the perspective of human aesthetics, with his elegant hands tied behind his back, holding his head up and chuckling, he assured Shui Tu and the other 2. Holy steps, and it is still a holy rank existence from the abyss plane. Shui Tu and Wu Mei were overjoyed, and obediently stood behind this holy strong man. My lord, this Su Shin killed with his own strength. Shui Tu even secretly transmitted voice, recounting the previous scene where Su Shin killed He Ming in a flash. Oh, hearing the words, the strong man of the holy rank, hiding Kong, suddenly showed a hint of surprise. 0. In the plane of the abyss, it is not uncommon to become a god with the power of blood in 10 years, but it is rare to have such a step up and kill the opponent in seconds. Is it because of the magic called Dragon Slayer? 1. I am more and more right. 10 Kufas are curious. Looking at Su Shin from the sky, there was no killing intent in his eyes, but a lot of appreciation. The Blood Nether Lord mainly controls the Blue Star Plane, and the best way is to accept the strong and geniuses of the Blue Star Plane. In this way, the rest of the people will not be able to resist even if they want to. Su Shin is the champion bestowed by His Majesty, and he attaches great importance to it. If you act like this, could it be that you really don't take our Kyushu Empire seriously? The shadow growled fiercely. He seemed to be using Emperor Qianyuan to suppress the opponent, but in fact he knew it was useless, but he still wanted to delay as much as possible by doing this. An emperor of a low-level plane is placed under the command of a great lord, and he is not even qualified to be a legion commander. Hey, creatures of low-level planes are always a little bit confident in certain aspects. Shaking his head and laughing, his words were full of disdain. Come with me, Su Shin. If you are like this, you will definitely be valued by the Great Lord, and your future will be even more dazzling than now. After hiding his words, he grabbed Su Shin with one hand. I don't know what kind of magic he cast, but suddenly, a terrifying force that is difficult to disobey surrounds Su Shin. The power of law. In the face of the power of the law, the current Su Shin has no capital to resist at all. Situation: big danger. Seeing that Su Shin was about to be captured, the face of Emperor Qianyuan's confidant Shadow changed drastically. He gritted his teeth fiercely, and immediately took out a cyan staff from the space ring. Noble Phantasm. Blue Light Wind Battle. A 9th level transcendent great mage activates a magic treasure, and the power that the treasure can exert is not trivial. All of a sudden, the sky and the earth surged with wind and clouds, as if the space was shattered, and countless hurricanes emerged from the sky. With just one face-to-face, thousands of kilometers around are filled with endless wind and waves. Seeing this scene, Shuedu and Wu Mei, the 2 9th level transcendent masters, couldn't help but feel a chill in their hearts. Although they are 9th level mages. But after all, it's just a magic guild, and it can't compare with the foundation of the empire. It is just a confidant shadow cultivated by Emperor Qianyuan, who can possess such a powerful magic treasure. The 2 9th level mages of 630 subconsciously looked at the abyssal powerhouse in the center of the storm. Covering the sky, his hands were still tied behind his back gracefully, and his contempt was not concealed at all on his face. HMPH, the light of fireflies is nothing more than the wind of the dust. Seeing his expression like this, the 2 9th rank mages were relieved. They also wanted to cooperate to make a quick decision, but they looked like they wanted to perform alone, so they stayed aside for a while and watched the changes. The pressure from the powerhouses of the holy rank is greatly reduced because of the shadow treasure. Su Shin didn't have the intention of running away immediately. He knew that facing the strong man of the holy rank, if he didn't leave with the space teleportation just now, then it would be impossible to leave. Instead of sitting still, it's better to calmly restore your own magic power. Thinking of this, Su Shin gulped down the magic crystal in his hand, and the magic power in his body was rapidly recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. At the same time, Su Shin gently took out a jade pendant and activated it secretly. This is the positioning jade pendant given to him by Nangong Long, the #1 powerhouse in Tianan province. Su Xin didn't discard it, so it can be regarded as a thought at this moment. The power of the law is too strong. Even if I use my treasure with all my strength, it's just a delay for a while, and I can't even hurt him. Shadow was a little flustered at the moment. Just now Su Xin's punch made thousands of kilometers in the sky undulate, and the atmosphere vibrated like thunder and thunder. It is impossible for such a big momentum not to attract attention. Indeed, Shadow did not expect that it was not other empires that attacked Su Xin, but the forces from the abyss. In this way, Su Xin, his 9th-level secret protector, was obviously caught off guard. But the Shadow still has hope in his heart. In his mind, Emperor Qianyuan is the eternal hero who strategizes, and Emperor Qianyuan should be able to predict such an unexpected situation. I heard that you killed a 9th-level mage with one move just now. I'm curious, you were only at the 7th level in the elite competition. Even if you stepped into the 8th level in more than a month, the increase in combat power shouldn't be so exaggerated, right? And I have also studied the dragon-slaying magic formula you disclosed. The mages who master dragon-slaying magic at the same level are indeed very powerful, but judging from the magic formula, it is far from being invincible at the same level. Covering the air and raising his hand again, the magic power of the abyss condensed at his fingertips, and the power of laws lingered in it. While speaking, he saw a pair of huge scarlet arms condensed in the center of the endless storm. The gigantic arm seems to grow out of space, it is several thousand meters in size, and it is the arm that lifts the sky. With a sudden stretch of the scarlet giant arm, it instantly tore apart the power of the noble phantasm, the Qingguang Fengzhang. Come on, you should have almost recovered, let me see the trick. You just killed the 9th-level mage in seconds. Covering the air, he hooked his hand at Su Xin. Su Xin looked cold. This pussy is just too pretentious. Su Xin, great opportunity. He is too confident, you talk nonsense with him to delay the time, since His Majesty's city government should be able to anticipate such emergencies, delay time, and wait for support. Seeing the posture of covering the sky and stopping his hands, Shadow was inexplicably happy. The other party was too pretending, and would give him a chance instead, so he immediately gave Su Xin a magic sound transmission reminder. To show that move just now, I have to wait a little longer. Su Xin nodded slightly, and said something towards Jikong. It's okay, just wait for you. I hid my words and laughed a little. But he obviously didn't want to wait too long, so he gave a time limit, wait for you for 5 minutes. Time passed by every minute and every second. Very quickly, 5 minutes passed in a blink of an eye. I have given you enough respect, let's do it, Su Xin. Covering the air, he hooked his fingers at Su Xin again, with anticipation in his eyes. I can tell, even in the plane of the abyss, the existence of the genius level is highly valued, and the status is not low. In the abyss plane, the weak prey on the strong, which is ruthless and endless exploitation for the weak, but it is enough worship and respect for the strong. Holy rank magic star galaxy. However, at this moment, sudden mutation. Above the sky, the endless storm that was previously torn apart by the scarlet giant arm is now rolling and agitating in the sky, and the endless water of the galaxy is constantly surging. Su Xin looked around and felt as if he was in the bottom of the sea. His eyes are startled. This is water magic, but he never thought that water magic could be so powerful. After realizing the power of the law, the power of the holy magic is far beyond imagination. Covering the sky and frowning slightly, he is not a holy rank mage who is afraid of the blue star plane, but it seems that the holy rank that appeared this time is a bit different. Bang! A tall figure fell from the sky and stepped heavily on the ground. Su Xin looked at it and couldn't help opening his mouth. The person who came was an extremely tall woman, long-legged Yuji, at least 1.8 meters tall, wearing a water blue mage robe, with water ripples all over her body. Water lotus. Su Xin's heart skipped a beat. This Yuji looks very similar to Shui Lianhua. You are Shui Lianyi, the master of the water temple. On the contrary, the shadow recognized the other party at a glance. It's me. Shui Lianyi nodded slightly. His eyes lingered on Su Xin for a while, and then looked at Zhengkong. Su Xin was even more puzzled. Shui Lianhua's older sister, Shui Lianyi, should only be in her 30s. He had heard about it from Jin 12 before, but she was only a 9th-level middle-ranked detached master. But now it seems that this water ripple has clearly stepped into the holy rank. 30-something holy mage. If this gets out, it will be even more shocking than when Su Shin stepped into the 7th step at the age of 18. Senior, what's the situation? She is His Majesty's servant. Su Shin hurriedly asked one or two senior shadows. Senior Shadow shook his head. Obviously this kind of development was beyond his expectation. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.